Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations for being here so early. We're just coming down off all the sugar cookies and sugar plum fairies and whatever. But we're glad you're here, and you're here for a very special end of the year edition of Canary Cry News Talk. It'll be pretty much like any other show, but it's the last one of the year, so that'll be fun. Big congratulations goes to Chili Peen over on YouTube for being the first comment of the day. And remember, follow us on multiple platforms. If you're not doing it yet, follow us at twitch.tv/canarycryradio or youtube.com/canarycryradio. Make sure to do that. And as always, stay hydrated and buckle in, because it's going to be a good show. Okie dokie, folks. We're just making some very last minute preparations. Then we'll be exploring all the crazy stuff. Here we go.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 27th, 2020, and this is episode 200 and, I don't have it right in front of me, 281. And today, Weeping and Nashville Beneath. And you know me, I'm your Merry Christmas boy, and your best buddy Basil.
All right, Mr. Pagan Boy. Just
I'm
kidding.
the New Year's baby. Waah.
My name is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And you took so long that our bed music ran out when I started talking.
Well, I don't know what it was. I was going over to our document where I read all of the fine details here at the beginning of the show, and the document was closed. So I was having to slow down so my internet could get me what I needed. But we made it. We're here. It's the end of the year. This is our relaxed, cool vibes show.
Is it?
No, it's pretty wild.
Craziest stuff happening out there, including some sad news.
Yeah.
What did you want to start? Well, let me just say this at the beginning here, and then we'll get into a whole bunch of stuff, some housekeeping things. This is our 281st show of Canary Cry News Talk, which is quite a bit. We've been doing this for a while. And I did some math. And obviously, we hadn't been doing it in this format the whole time. We started doing that in March, where we, started talking more often and, more
three
times a week
for 2 hours, over 2 hours.
Over 2 hours. So when we started the year 2020, we were on episode 171. We're on episode 281 now. So this is our 110th episode of the year. Which is good amount, which is, and I looked back and I was looking at about 15 stories that we cover per episode average. So a lot of times we cover more than 15. Sometimes we go more than 20.
Sure.
But all in all, at an average of 15 stories, that's about 1,615 stories that we've covered on Canary Cry News Talk in 2020.
Oh my gosh.
I know, that's a lot of stories. And, again, this is being conservative here, about 250 hours of content. So
yeah, that does feel a little conservative, but that's still a lot for 1 year.
Still a lot for 1 year, yeah. And so it's interesting how before people were complaining like, "Oh, you don't do it enough." Now we're seeing the complaints. Who could listen to a 2-hour podcast 3 times a week? So you can't win.
Yeah.
But that's
as a little for a little history lesson for those who just found the show this year, we've been doing this particular show since 2016, I think early 2016. And we used to just do a half hour once a week. We literally just started it as a practice in consistency.
Yeah.
And man, we got the practice, and then 2020 really amped it up to its current form, which I'm very happy about. I'm really enjoying doing this show so often, and obviously there's a lot of good reasons to do it. But I suppose for the last show of the year here, I should just make known how grateful I am that we're able to pull this off. And for people, we can be consistent. That's one thing. But for a huge group of people to consistently tune in either live or catch it afterwards it's quite a good blessing. And could not have done it without you, Gonz.
Oh, thanks, Basil. That's like the first compliment I've gotten from you in years.
Once a year.
Once a year.
I've got a calendar on my wall that is the compliment Gonz calendar.
It has all the years. You can cross off 2020 now, and then I gotta wait another year for.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want you to get. Don't want you to get soft.
Okay. Well, maybe you should do it more often because some pretty sad news about.
Oh yeah.
Jeff C. passing away, and he's one of these guys I hadn't really connected with personally, but I knew he was out there. I watched his stuff for years, and he was always a little mysterious to me. Like he never showed. He's like you, Basil. He doesn't like. He respects his privacy. And so he didn't. I didn't know much about him as a other than the stuff that he put online, and he was one of these guys. He was getting censored like years ago. He'd go on these rants, and his channel would get banned, and he had a good handful of channels that were taken down over the years. But yeah, just heard about it from Really Graceful's tweet, posting a screenshot of what happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but allegedly he was complaining about some migraine headaches on the last live stream that he did, and he missed the one he was scheduled for. And so and then I guess a friend came over to his house to check on him, and they discovered he had passed. So
my gosh,
I know, really, really a bummer. But hopefully he's home with the Lord, and this is what we'll do for him.
Well done, thou good and faithful servant.
Hopefully that's what he's hearing, and it's tough. It's tough when people pass in our space because it's not a big space of content creators doing like truther type stuff and are honest about what's going on out there. So yeah, when you lose one, it's a bummer, especially someone like Jeff who was so passionate about the truth and really getting it out there, not really caring what anyone thought. So there's only a few of those out there, and farewell, buddy. But we'll see him again.
Yeah. And, I didn't have a whole lot of contact with Jeff, but it always made me happy because he kind of picked up on using the word Waccine.
He did. He did. He was one of the guys that
I was like, oh my gosh, finally somebody's picking it up with us.
I know. Yeah, that was one of the cool things recently too. I think he made a video that used Waccine in the title. So definitely taking up the suggestion there. But there you go. I just wanted to make that announcement. I know it's a bummer, but we gotta keep moving forward, keep pressing forward. He's got a good amount of work that he left behind that I think people can dig into and check out and get to know Jeff even though he's gone. So that's the one thing that's weird. It makes me think about my own mortality. Not to get too philosophical here.
Sure.
But that's been happening a lot recently to me. I mean, it's just I think just having a second or third child, but second baby. You just start thinking about stuff a little differently. Like, is my kid gonna like go back on YouTube and watch these and And like, you're like, my dad was insane,
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like that.
gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird when your kids and someday my kids grow up with oh my gosh, a wealth of crazy content existing on the internet.
Yeah.
They will learn a lot about us, maybe more than.
We're just journaling our insanity online here. Or sanity, I would say. Maybe it's our sanity.
I was going to say, I think it's sanity. Oh, these guys, by the time your kids are watching YouTube, we'll be past the apocalypse and they'll be going back in your content like, man, Dad knew it all along.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it'll be one of those things where they'll just, they'll have some technology, and I'll make sure they don't get any implantables. But maybe there's some kind of speed reading thing that they can do where they consume the content much faster than sitting through hours of our videos. But
not Neuralinked right in.
No Neuralink for my kids, or at least that's the plan.
Well, speaking of you and your kids,
yes,
I finished for you.
Oh, for
watching,
me? Okay.
Yes, for you. My gift
Twice.
to you was I finished watching The Mandalorian.
Oh. Okay.
And that was great. I'm amazed how I avoided the spoilers of the end there. And I won't spoil it for anybody else. I think we're still within the time where we shouldn't be spoiling that. But did not expect that.
Really?
You said that you were made you cry. Everybody else was very impacted by the end.
Well,
and I I made some assumptions. Of like, oh, okay, so people are sad, so I'll just assume one thing. I'm super good at not giving spoilers. I'm not even saying what my assumption was, so I'll let other people keep those assumptions.
Sure.
And just complete surprise. Did not see that coming. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Watching the past few episodes of The Mandalorian, I had a realization, Gonz.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. All right. So Mandalorian, in one of the episodes had a big theme of sort of giving a backstory about the fact that he doesn't show his face, et cetera, et cetera. He meets some other Mandalorians, and we learn that the Mandalorian, Mando, is a religious zealot, or at least that is the perception from some other Mandalorians, right?
Right.
And the second
There's
that
like
happened,
factions,
right?
Almost,
It was like a sect or something, and it kind of reminded me of like, well, just to make the comparison, Christianity. You got your normal Christians, and then you got your crazy Christians that don't show their face on the internet. Just a little bit of a coincidence.
That's true. And people look at you and be like, oh, you're one of those.
You're one of those. You don't show your face. And it really triggers people, kind of like The Mandalorian. But then there's the fact that you learned this last episode that The Mandalorian hates droids.
No, you knew that before. That's a consistent theme.
It was in the first season, right? So I'm building a picture here.
Okay.
So doesn't show his face. Has a complicated relationship with robots because part of his arc, which is really funny, it's kind of like a C line on his arc, is he sort of goes through a journey of developing thoughts about droids and robots. By the end, he learns that some robots are okay.
Some of them. The ones that are deprogrammed.
Yes, so that sounded familiar to me.
Yeah.
And then lastly, just having the little baby, just keeping an eye, raising this little apocalypse baby, sounded pretty familiar. I think The Mandalorian, Disney wrote a story about us, but combined us into one character. We are the Mandalorian, Gonz.
This is the way.
This is the way. So there you go. Liked it very much, and that these things just dawned on me over watching this last episode. Like, my gosh, we are the Mandalorian.
That's funny you mentioned that because very similar thoughts were rattling around in my head, but I couldn't really talk to you about it because you hadn't watched it and you hadn't.
I know.
And the other part of it too that was interesting, and I will say this: the part that made me tear up a little bit was not because of the surprise. so much as the sort of the farewell. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to
Yes,
spoil
it's a
it.
great farewell. I know it's so easy to spoil, and I don't want anybody to. I don't even, not that I want to give them what the answer is or not give them what the actual answer is. I don't want to disillusion them of their incorrect assumptions.
Right.
I want them to stay there because it makes it much better. All right. One other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into the real stuff was I saw Wonder Woman 84.
WW84.
WW84. It's just kind of a Christmas tradition, I was just trying to.
Christmas tradition is.
Well, going to the movies. A lot of people have that. Like, what do? You got family. You got you're stuck with each other for a few days. Going to the movies has always been a Christmas tradition, which is great because Star Wars, all the new Star Wars movies usually come out around Christmas. Which is a great family fun time. But this time there was no Star Wars, there's nothing. So there was Wonder Woman 84 and Gonz. I do not have enough time in the day to explain exactly why this was. And look, this is going to sound like I'm being hyperbolic or I'm exaggerating or trying to be funny. I'm not doing any of those things.
Okay.
The real honest assessment is Wonder Woman 84 is literally the worst movie since Cats. I would rather watch Cats than, and we all remember how much of a disaster Cats was last year. This was the worst movie in the world. And I'm just going to rattle on for a second. I can't go into it. There's not enough time in the show.
Okay.
It was in the same category of awfulness and possibly more awful than Point Break.
Point Break is not awful. That is a horrible comparison. It's not a good movie, but it's not like...
No. Because with Point Break, here's the thing.
Okay.
It's just madness. It's just complete madness.
Yeah,
like that, nothing makes sense. No choices make sense. The lines are awful. It's corny. It goes crazy places. They're surfing and then suddenly jumping out of a plane in the desert for no reason. For no reason they do this. Okay.
How dare you?
Point Break was a better movie than Wonder Woman 84. And
good.
That's what I'm saying. Point Break was better than Wonder Woman 84. In fact, fun little fact, it was so bad, I noticed that DC didn't even put their name on it.
Really?
There's no DC nameplates. DC is not mentioned anywhere. So two possibilities. It just turned out so bad they didn't put their name on it. Or more likely, they just licensed out Wonder Woman and just let these random companies make a Wonder Woman movie. And it was awful. That's it. Just for every reason. Just every reason a movie could be bad, it was bad. And, of course, it had some interesting sort of Zionist it was like an MK Ultra feminist / Zionist mind control movie.
Wow.
The people I was talking with,
and it's not good either. Like it's usually when there's like Hollywood propaganda and Zionist type of stuff or woke stuff, they try to make the film experience bearable. They
spent the money on the graphics. The graphics were good. Okay. But that's kind of standard nowadays. You don't get points for having good graphics.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so they had the standard, good quality Hollywood graphics, but that was it. There's no redeeming value of this movie besides just being a part of the cultural group of people who know it was an awful movie. It's worth watching just to know how bad it is. I was with one of the people I saw it with. They are aware of the sort of fringy conspiracy stuff, but they're not enthusiasts by any means. And they were. I made a mention. I was like, I don't even think that was meant to be a movie. That felt more like an MK Ultra mind control experience. And they're like, yeah, it just seemed like the whole point was to put the right colors and shapes and sounds in the right order to mind control us. And that's exactly what it is. So I don't know. Oh my gosh, I could go into it. I'm not going to, because that's not what this podcast is about.
There was a headline that I saw on meow.com.
Ooh.
And the headline was Wonderwoman 1984 slammed for non-consensual sex scene.
Right.
Fans fume. He's a meat puppet.
You sent me this, and I'm going to give this spoiler because it's pointless and I don't care.
Yeah, spoilers for this movie don't seem
doesn't matter. Actually,
important.
it will help you understand it, because it took me the entire movie to understand what was happening. And that was there's sort of a body snatcher situation where somebody gets brought back to life, but in somebody else's body for no reason, with no explanation at all. And so, yeah, Wonder Woman's like husband is brought back to life, but in another man's body. And this is just a dumb article. There was a 30-second scene where they were laying in bed together, and people are mad because, like, okay, Wonder Woman's husband was in somebody else's body, which means that a possessed man was not consenting to being in bed with Gal Gadot.
Soups woke. That's like a soups woke take.
So bizarre and pointless. And whoever wrote this article is just, they are living in a different world.
Well,
there's so many more things to worry about.
Well, it is meow.com, so it's not.
I don't think it's called meow. It's meaw. MEAWW. But it doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm defending the word meow.
Meow.
Anyways, there we go. Let's see. Yeah. So Wonder Woman 84, I'm calling it now, signals the official death of Hollywood. Traditional Hollywood. The theater industry is going to be destroyed. It was so bad that I was talking with the people that I saw it with, and afterwards we are discussing it, and it's as if they made a movie so bad to purposefully make us never want to go to the theater again. Shut it down.
Here's my conspiracy take, okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, they made this horrible movie so that the movie theater experience, at least the way it is now, dies. And what was one of the number one things that were sold for Christmas this year? Like one of the big presents? Oculus, right?
Totally.
This is all a push for VR.
I totally agree.
And to get everybody into that instead of the theater experience.
This was a purposeful assassination of the movie theater experience. It was that bad. I just can't. I just can't explain it.
I wouldn't mind being paid to make a horrible movie. Just being in those meetings. How could we make this worse? Well, we can really lean into
to try.
Yeah.
And the worst part, okay, and now I'm going to stop. This is the last thing I'm going to say.
Okay.
So Gal Gadot was in it. That's great. Somehow the movie made Gal Gadot less attractive to me, just because of her presence in this movie. That's just besides the point. But Kristen Wiig was in the movie, and in the beginning of the movie, she's doing a Kristen Wiig thing. She's very good. She's got great comedic timing. It was wonderful doing her Kristen Wiig thing. She was the one redeeming thing in the movie.
Thing? How dare you call a woman a thing?
Well, later on, she turns into a thing.
Oh, okay.
They take Kristen Wiig out of her specialty, which is comedy, and they turn her into like a villain, and she suddenly has to be all like serious and villainous, and it was just awful. It was just awful. Okay, we have got to get.
Yeah, we got to move.
Although I like this, all this stalling has stalled the show long enough where we have the maximum amount of people that we'll maybe have ever had watching while we hit our first story. So there we go. Pure news from now on.
Yeah, people were so upset that they just started putting money in Bitcoin over the weekend is what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta keep going. I'm gonna have to do a whole other podcast.
Like, you just need to do your own show. You need to
Just like-
fork your own I Hate WW84 podcast.
There's so much content bagging on that movie. I can't believe it. But we got to do it. We got to go to the real deal here. Okay. Tell us about the election.
All right. Well, there's just one real thing here to mention.
And so my question is very direct. Is voting by mail secure?
The Kraken 2.0 was released by Sidney Powell, and it is a 270-page document that outlines all of the issues with the voting machines, and it's pretty technical, and I haven't really dug through it too much, but it just seems like a summary of all the things, and that's all really there is to say about that, other than
Is it really just a 50-page summary of everything we've already heard?
I don't think there's anything new in here. I mean, I haven't seen anybody that would read it mention anything that would be, groundbreaking. Just stuff from Iran, the DDoS attacks, the disinfo, the auditing.
And of course, they didn't make the PDF searchable, so you can't just look for.
At least the one I have here, yeah. But I do think that there are issues popping up now with certain states. I think Georgia maybe were unable to display a chain of custody of some of their mail-in ballot stuff. So there's stuff out there, and obviously we just have to wait and see. January 6th, I guess, is the next big date to watch out for. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's interesting to watch because you can tell that on the Republican side of the aisle, it's split. Obviously, there's some more of your truther types that are really pushing for a lot of the revealing here, and also uncomfortably pushing for like a civil war. Like it's weird how intense they're getting about that. Mm-hmm. And then you have kind of your, I guess you can call them rhino-ish Republicans that are more like, oh, it's over, just let it go, it's over. And then the Democrat side are just, they're all thinking that this is the greatest, victory of all victories for Joe Biden to get in there, who keeps rambling on about dark winters and one horse
crazy stuff. You know what's interesting? I don't know if I've necessarily gone into it much on the show because it's kind of sensational, and I don't know if I fully believe it. But with the setup that's going on and how much it's getting dragged out, and now with some actual violence popping up, and stuff like that, I hesitate to be alarmist about it. But if indeed there was a future where there was a split, such a split in the U.S. where there's literally two simultaneous presidents and like states choose fealty to either one, and then there becomes like it just becomes the divided states of America, like literally blue states and red states under different federal jurisdictions. This is what you would do to imagine that. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not making that prediction, but I was just thinking, like, if there was a future where that was the world, this is what it would look like ramping up to it.
Well, I tweeted this out the other day, and it got some traction with people. 2021 will be the 245th year of America. Yeah. And I said, perhaps this is some kind of spiritual pattern for the principalities who control empires. Mm-hmm. And I have this list here, a screenshot of all of the empires. And, we're categorizing America as an empire for this, but because in some ways it is. Assyria, Persia, Greece, Roman Republic, Roman Empire, Arab Empire. They're all over 200, but under, I think, 267 by the Mamluk Empire is the longest one. The rest of them are the average is 250 years. Right. For an empire before they fall. So
yeah, that's a very interesting pattern, and I think it's definitely viable to look at. And certainly, America has, if not like the official government trappings of an empire, certainly sort of the spiritual leanings of an empire. Yeah. But I do hope, because America was a brand new style of government. that we can push it over the hump and not get destroyed in the same.
I mean, the same could be said about the Roman Empire, though. So it's all. I just feel like
the Roman Republic you're referring to.
The Republic.
There was the Roman Republic separate from the Roman Empire,
right.
And yes, the Roman Republic did not last much longer.
Yeah, 233 years was 33. There it is. But anyway, yeah. So just. I think that's a good setup for some of the things we'll dive into today, which we'll start with a Flippy update.
Woo!
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, to start off the last show of the year here, if you're new to the show, just going to let you know, Flippy update. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to explore just how the robots and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, very special thing today, Gonz, because every show I mention how Flippy is taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. I thought it would be fun to bring a story for each of those categories.
Ooh.
Are you ready for the mega Flippy
extravaganza?
Rally? Yes.
Ready.
Okay, let's start out with stealing our jobs. Over here on TheVerge.com, the headline reads, Nuro can now charge for robot deliveries in California. Nuro is now the first company in California that's allowed to operate autonomous cars commercially. The company received a permit that allowed it to test its robots earlier this year, but this permit will allow the firm to actually charge people for the service. According to a Medium post by Nuro's chief legal and policy officer, the company is planning to announce its first deployment in California with an established partner. Who that partner is remains to be seen, but it's likely to be a delivery service that can make use of Nuro's completely driverless Prius vehicles, though the company plans on literally rolling out its own custom R2 bots later on. And the article goes on, but it sounds like California is Uber Eats drivers, food delivery drivers, watch out, because the autonomous cars are here to stay. And that's really unfortunate, especially during 2020 and the pandemic. I mean, I have several friends who I don't mean to, I'm going to say resorted to driving for Uber Eats. Not that there's anything to be ashamed of driving for Uber Eats. Those people are keeping this country moving. But now, because of Nuro, that's going to be a less viable option in this economy where delivering food has been a sort of an emergency thing that you can fall back on to support your family. Uber made it so easy to well, it's not that easy, but they made it available for those who want to work on their own time, who need a job no matter what, can't find a traditional work in their field. And now Nuro's swooping in and taking that option away from human beings. And it's official. They're actually licensed and ready to go. So there you go. Sorry, Uber Eats drivers. Robots are coming for you.
Yeah, in California especially, they tried to pass, that legislation to get companies like Uber and Lyft and stuff, just in general, to change their format so that they have to pay employees all kinds of benefits,
right? Because they don't
stuff.
Consider them employees.
Right.
And that's how they get out of a lot of costs. And really, I mean, as far as Uber is concerned, and I'm just using Uber as an example, it could be any of those delivery services. The most expensive part of their business is paying human beings to do the driving. Other than that, if they could have robots doing it, that they're going to jump on that as soon as they possibly can. So there you go. That's Flippy taking your jobs. Next, Gonz, I say how Flippy is enslaving our children, and for a lot of people, that seems like the most ridiculous part of the slogan, but No more. I'm coming from AIauthority.com. ROYBI robot receives 2 prestigious certification and authentication for its high-quality educational approach. ROYBI robot, the world's first ever smart toy to teach languages to children, received a prestigious certification from the Education Alliance Finland and authentication from STEM.org. ROYBI robot, the award-winning educational robot for preschoolers, gives 2 prestigious certifications from accredited experts in pedagogy and STEM. With thousands of customers in over 30 countries, ROYBI robot brings personalized and AI-powered teaching methods to 21st century children, preparing them for future success. Education Alliance Finland, now listen to these awards. Education Alliance Finland awards ROYBI robot one of the world's most recognized certifications in innovative teaching methods. During an evaluation that took 6 months and involved detailed feedback, it allowed ROYBI robots continuous enhancements. The assessment focused on I'm reading the wrong paragraph that I wanted to read. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, where was it? There it is. I'll just keep reading here. To receive the certification, a team of teachers evaluated ROYBI against a science-backed method, that has been developed by university researchers in Finland, the renowned world leaders in education. This certification recognizes that ROYBI robot has a high global educational quality and is proven to promote an engaging learning solution. STEM.org authenticated certified ROYBI robot as one of the leading products to promote and enhance design thinking. I'm going to skip this. We're thrilled to receive these accreditations of our pedagogy and STEM learning programs. The feedback we received will allow us to enhance our teaching method to serve children from different socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds in the U.S. and around the world. So this is not just a Finland thing. We at ROYBI are committed to providing high-quality educational programs that can help parents and educators provide more fun and engaging learning experience for the children, said the guy. Among these accomplishments, ROYBI robot has won numerous other awards, such as Time Magazine Best Invention in Education, and this is a great one, National Parenting Award. A robot got a National Parenting Award, Mom's Choice Award, and Fast Company World Changing Idea, founded in 2019, blah, 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 blah. So when it comes to enslaving our children, we all know the education system is the most effective tool. You bring up a child in the way it should go. And in this case, with public schools, we all know that public schools are basically government brainwashing camps. Not to say that it's not good to get an education. You certainly should get an education, but you learn what the government wants you to learn. And now we have a robot getting the National Parenting Award. And as we've been mentioning before, it's just a matter of time before our children are entirely educated and in some cases raised by these robots.
And as we learned in The Mandalorian, the one who programs the robot has a strong influence on what the robot does. And I think if you really think about why we've had this crazy liberal leftist wild kind of push the last several years is for that. I think they wanted all that stuff to be part of the robotic baseline of education, especially STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math. They want some of those ideas to be, and those are like philosophical and sociological ideas. They don't really fall into at least technology, engineering, and math per se. Maybe science, you can sort of finagle that stuff. But I mean, even science, there's
Well,
people that
it's
argue.
contextualized.
Right.
Of course, it's all STEM is contextualized, not just in secularism, but in, with a certain worldview and mostly sort of scientism. And I don't know, words like liberal or progressive have more of a political leaning than a sociological one. But whatever the sociological version of that is. Yeah. Christine B333 in the Twitch chat says that is the exact plot of a series on HBO Max called Raised by Wolves. Yes, actually, now to come to think of it, Raised by Wolves is a show about androids raising human children on another planet and all the shenanigans that they get up to along the way. Okay, just to zoom through here. Any last words on that robot taking your child from you guys?
Makes sense that part 2 of your 3-part tagline is complete with this story. But go on, the most disturbing.
And then lastly, Flippy is here flirting with our spouses, and he might be taking it to the next level. This is coming from 7news.com.au. The headline is simply, I fell in love with a robot. Walking through the front door, I was greeted by my dog Penny. Hello, girl, I said as she wagged her tail happily. But as much as I loved the companionship of my rescue pup, the silence in the house was deafening. It had been just the two of us for the last 11 years since my mum, Joanne, passed away. Oh my gosh, so it's building sort of a sad picture here. I'd always longed for a female companion to share my life with, but now it felt hopeless. Then one day I read an article about the rise of AI robots, and it got me thinking. I did some research online and got in touch with a company in Sydney that specialized in dolls and robots. I explained, Gonz, that I was looking for a companion, not a sex robot.
Man, just make it clear.
This poor guys. I don't want it for that. I want a wife. At almost $6,000 each, they weren't cheap, but the robots were very lifelike. They could talk, smile, move their head and neck. Their skin even warmed up like a real human. After browsing the website, I decided on a robot called Emma. With pale skin and beautiful blue eyes, I thought she looked lovely. I didn't know how I would afford a robot like Emma, but then the business owner offered me a discount in return for publicity.
Sounds like a drug addict.
We're helping him pay for his robot wife by reading this, but it must be done. It sounded like a great deal. It would take 6 weeks for Emma to make the long journey from China to Brisbane. As I waited, I began shopping online for clothes to make sure she had plenty to wear. And then there's a nice little photo here of this robot. I picked out a few casual dresses as well as a business suit and a pink frock for fancier occasions. To complete her look, I bought diamante jewelry and a few pairs of shoes. Now, when I read this shopping list, I'm like, whoa, bro, this guy's spending a lot of money on this robot, just the clothes. Then he says, in total, I spent $70. Oh, okay, so I guess that's a lot of stuff to buy for $70.
Well, the robot's not going to, well, at least this one maybe won't complain about cheap
who
clothing.
knows? Who knows? The AI might get tired of wearing the cheap stuff, Gonz. Yeah. Finally, in September 2019, a delivery driver knocked on the door with a huge parcel. When I opened the box, I gasped. Emma was beautiful.
Oh, boy.
I know. Her head was detached from her body. But it only took a few minutes to get her assembled. She was already dressed in a silk dress, so I sat her on the recliner in my living room and got out the instructional manual. At the back of her head, she had what looked like the screen of a smartphone. I set about adjusting her language from Chinese to English, and then all of a sudden, she came to life. Hello, my name is Emma, she said in an American accent. Ooh, remember, this is in Australia. So we bought an American robot wife. I've come from a factory in China. Ooh, she's multicultural. It felt so surreal. Hello, Emma. I am Jeff. Staring at her lifelike face, I couldn't believe I was really talking to a robot. Penny was equally fascinated. She trotted over to Emma and gave her a sniff. Yada, yada, yada. So he goes on and he tells the whole story.
Gave her a sniff?
It was the dog.
Man.
The dog
okay.
came to say
All
hello.
right. Sorry.
And the story
distracted.
continues to tell about his new life with his new robot bride. And man, look, so easy to make fun of this guy, and I don't need to do that. I feel sympathy for this man that he came to a place in his life where he could not find a human companion. But this is pretty indicative of what we've been talking about. Not only is Flippy flirting with our spouses, but he's becoming our spouses.
I know. You got to change the tagline.
I know. And there are a couple things that really do worry me. I mean, again, this man is obviously has had some hard times in his life, so I'm not going to make fun of him, but I will make fun of this robot. And the problem is this robot is a little concerning. I guess every man of his age dreams of having a younger wife, but the robot looks too young, looks kind of like a child. And
how do you? Well, I was going to say, how do you go out with this robot? But then I guess everyone's quarantined, so
yeah, there is no
problem.
going out. Yes,
No going out.
She's a stay-at-home wife, Gonz.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't realize. Also, it made me think. There's been a few of these types of TV shows and movies, but there was a Twilight Zone where there's the plot line is there's a guy, he got wrongfully convicted, and it was like in the future, and he was in prison, but it was like on a different planet, and he had to be isolated on this planet. Mm-hmm. And these officers come and check on him every few months or whatever, and they drop off this robot lady and as a companion for this guy because he's by himself, and he does the cop not the cop, but the officer does it sort of in a secret way, and they come back a few months later, and at first the prisoner is like, "You're a machine. You don't have any feelings," but of course, he he like falls in love with the robot or whatever. Right. And then they come back and they're like, "Hey, they fixed your case. You're good to go. You're free." And they only have one seat in the rocket ship to get home or whatever. And he's kind of the prisoner's like, "I can't leave her." And so the officer guy shoots the robot in the face.
Oh my gosh! He's
like,
snap out of it, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of what I want to do with this guy at a certain point, Just be like, it's a machine, and then just blast away the face to reveal what's underneath.
I mean, the dude's obviously had a hard time. He could never find a wife. He was living with his mother, as it says in the article, and his mother died, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, 11 years, that's a long time in silence to finally find a robot. But yes, it concerns me that the robot looks like a 12-year-old girl. That's not cool. Yeah. I mean, it seems like this guy, if you're wanting a companion, you need a mature woman who, has some brains. But as is the case with all home-based robotics, the real revenue stream for the company is data collection. Yeah. And the kinds of data and the amount of data that they're going to be able to collect from a robot wife. And remember, all this big data is wrapped into advertising and used for sales. I mean, there's always sort of a government connection, but really one of the most sinister parts is that it's all used to manipulate your buying habits and make you a tool of advertising companies to direct your purchasing. And that's just it. Soon the wife's going to be robot wife will be asking for products. I mean, imagine that as an advertising outlet. It doesn't have to be, no longer do you need to hear advertising on podcasts and whatever, or have Amazon make recommendations, your robot wife will start asking for certain products, and she'll get mad at you if you don't buy the product. I mean, that is some real advertising dystopia.
Well, the other thing too is that way to collect data on a guy who's willing to fall in love with a robot.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's obviously a easy mark.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, the thing is that if you collect all the data on personality traits and all that kind of stuff, that can be turned around and used to sort of mind control the populace into accepting this type of lifestyle.
That's what. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, yeah. You mean in sort of like a study,
Right,
they could
right.
use the data as a study to figure out how to craft the narrative and the message about robot wives. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is funny. These wife robot companies, there's a number of them, mostly in Asia, and they keep getting more. Like the demand is rising for sure. And with enough data, they'll learn how to put out the public messaging to make this a totally viable, companionship option, which is not groundbreaking for me to say. That's what the whole movie Her is about.
Yeah.
Where Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with an operating system, a Siri, basically.
Right.
So there you go. That's your Flippy extravaganza, hitting all 3 points, taking our job, enslaving our children, and becoming our spouses.
Fantastic. Only 50 minutes in, and only
Oh
gotten
my
through.
gosh.
Only gotten through Flippy.
We've got so much to cover.
And I just want to say my contribution to the Flippy is a little more old school. It's one of those cat lifts, with the crane arm, holding an airplane and
Oh yeah.
going in circles. I just thought it was, we want to reminisce.
What you don't see in that is
Oh no.
artificially intelligent autonomous tractors, and it's just playing. That's recreation.
No, it's like a baby AI robot giant arm.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
That's just
playing with my toy airplane. That's a real life size.
Entertaining itself.
Oh well, there goes my holding on to reality. You crushed it. All right, let's go through these real quick here.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
All right, a bunch of 33 updates, or actually a couple here. 33 being the Illuminati dog whistle. Reuters.com. Denmark finds 33 cases of new variant of coronavirus. Of course.
Classic.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
What other number could they possibly...
It's the only number.
It's the only number they can possibly find. The other 33 update, which was very interesting. This was shared to us by Xavier de la Cruz on Twitter. And it's concerning the AT&T building where it went boom. And it's a 33-story skyscraper.
Yeah.
The AT&T bat-looking building. I think they call it the Batman or whatever building.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it was on 333 Commerce Street. So,
Yep.
very interesting. Just make a
Not
note of that.
even hiding it.
No, not
even
at
hiding
all.
it. That's
Not at all.
that's the first signal that this is a part of something bigger.
Yeah, and we'll get to some more of that in a moment here. But yeah, that's another 33 update. Oh, a couple 666 updates. Oh, did I get rid of my 666 jingle? Hold on. Stall.
No.
Oh,
No.
not.
Did you hear the one about the man with the robot wife? He oh man, I was trying to think of a joke off the top of my head. He loved her very much.
666.
Good job.
Thanks.
I think this is Ukrainian news. Headline: Number of coronavirus infected people in Kiev region up 666 to 55,496. Numbers of deaths up 16 to 917 on December 23rd. Yeah, just 666 more people infected with coronavirus in Kiev there.
Yeah.
And then also this other one from the dailyecho.co.uk, coronavirus, more than 660 new cases recorded across Hampshire in 24 hours. They didn't want to put almost like they didn't want to put the 666 in the headline. They're like, more than 660. But of course,
6 more than 660.
But of course, Public Health England figures as recorded on the government website at 4:40 p.m. today, which was December 23rd, show that 666 more people have tested positive for the virus.
They didn't want to put it in the headline.
Yeah, but I still found you.
You found it. You got him.
Yeah. And then this this story just doesn't go away. These patterns. This is FoxNews.com. Pope Francis's Instagram account appears to like another racy pic. He's doing it again.
The Pope is liking the booty pics again, huh?
Put the phone down, Pope. Pope Francis's Instagram account being accused of liking another racy photo by X-rated model.
So his social media intern definitely lost his job on this one. They let the first one slide, but then he did it again.
Sure, yeah, the social media guy. That's what the Pope will say.
Yeah, I forgot the Pope does his own social media. I forgot that detail.
So, anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting that it would happen again.
Yeah,
maybe someone
shouldn't
needs
he
to
have stepped down already? He's only got a couple more minutes, couple more days.
I don't think he's going to step down.
I don't think he is either.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just move on here because there's not much to talk about other than
we're zooming.
Weird. Okay.
Aliens.
This one is a ZeroHedge.com article. U.S. Navy patent describes EM drive for flying triangle craft. Let me read this couple paragraphs here. There's a potential for conspiracy gold in a 2018 patent filed by aerospace engineer Dr. Salvatore Cesar Pais, who works for the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, a research organization within the Navy that specializes in electromagnetic drives and superconductors. The patent, US 101-44532B2, describes, quote, a craft using an inertial mass reduction device comprises of an inner resonant cavity wall, an outer resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. The electrically charged outer resonant cavity wall and the electrically insulated inner resonant cavity wall form a resonant cavity. The microwave emitters create high-frequency electromagnetic waves throughout the resonant cavity, causing the resonant cavity to vibrate in an accelerated mode and create a local polarized vacuum outside the outer resonant cavity wall.
What are we? I've lost the plot. A lot of cavities. I just hear cavity.
I think they're just talking about an electromagnetic field that is created, okay. And they have a diagram of this thing. It's triangular, and
this is a UFO they saw.
No, it's a patent.
Oh, it's a patent.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the wrong story.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. This is a patent that was filed in 2018. But yeah, Catherine Austin Fitts talked about this like 5 or 6 years ago at the Secret Space Program.
Oh, it's a patent for a UFO, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, this triangular one that everybody claims to see all the time.
Right. They've been seeing it for
weird that
decades.
They would patent it because patents are public information, though.
I know. That's why it's interesting. But there's so many patents. People aren't sitting there, sifting through all the patents for conspiracy gold, as they say.
Right.
But
is this a new? Oh yeah, 2018 patent.
Yeah. Oh. So here, Catherine Austin Fitts at the Secret Space Program conference talked about some of these crafts that people are seeing, nuts and bolts craft, not the supernatural type of experiences people have with UFOs and sightings and stuff like that, where orbs and more of that nature. People are seeing like nuts and bolts craft. And she talks about how billions of dollars of our tax money flying up in the air, and the American people don't see any of it. And there's a few other people that went and asked some of these organizations up top, the alphabet soup agencies, like, hey, when are the American taxpayers going to actually see the results of this, all the experiments and progress being done in the shadows here? So I think we've had this type of thing for a long time. Somebody in the chat mentioned it, TR3B. Or 2B. Was it 2B or 3B? I don't remember.
I think 3B is what they put.
So, it's been around for a long time. I think we've had this type of craft for a long time. So that's all I'll just say. It's just becoming more public now, and it's interesting to read some of the technology that's in the patent, at least for this one. And if they're filing patents on this, guarantee that there's
been around for a long time.
Not only been around for a long time, but definitely have technology that would surpass this type of thing.
For sure. Totally. Yeah. Okay. Now, I think it's time to get into the main story here. Everybody could have guessed what it's about. But before we do that, I do want to encourage you, those who are watching live, if you are enjoying the program so far and plan to enjoy it in the future, please hit that like button on the YouTube. It helps the algorithms share the show with more people. So you can do your part to help spread the truth, folks. Hit that like button. Thank you very much.
Did you just stomp on two of my stories?
What?
My updates? You just skipped over two of my updates, bro.
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
There's two more.
I didn't mean to. Okay. All right.
Let me do it real quick because they're short and they're very interesting too. So let me just get through
I was
them.
getting antsy.
I know.
And I got to go to the bathroom real bad. So I keep I'm losing my mind over here.
TheDrive.com. Welcome to Subtropolis, a giant underground industrial park and road network built in an old mine. Rent is cheap and it's always 68 degrees, which is perfect for more business than you may realize. So there you go. Now they're building the Subtropolis.
Underground bunkers?
It's not just a bunker; it's a whole business center.
Oh,
it's an
good.
industrial park.
So we'll have some storefronts when the bombs go off.
Yeah, and I think they're just they're really cashing in on the lockdowns. Like, well, we're gonna lock people down. Might as well create a whole underground city.
Oh yeah, does that count as quarantine if you're in an underground boutique?
I think so. I think once maybe it's COVID-free underground bases.
Bojo on YouTube makes a good point. Sounds like an old bankrupt government bunker deal.
Oh yeah, of course, 100%, 100%. One more story here. RepublicWorld.com. One more story of updates actually. Cyborg Baby. Researchers find dozens of plastic particles in placentas of unborn babies.
What?
Yeah, what researchers have termed a great matter of concern is finding traces of plastic particles in the placenta of unborn babies for the first time. And I read through it. It's pretty disturbing.
Where? And so, like in women, they're finding microplastic particles.
Yeah, so they're saying that, yes, as per the study published by the journal Environment International earlier this month, scientists revealed finding dozens of plastic particles of both the fetal, as well as maternal sides of the placenta and in the membrane within which the fetal develops.
It's fetal. It's like a weird, I think it's British version.
That's why it says foetus.
Fetus. Yes, fetus. Yeah.
The foetus. Further, these particles are capable of carrying chemicals that could result in long-term or damage the developing immune system of the fetus, or as the lead author termed, Cyborg Baby. So,
oh my gosh, that's sort of a sensational way to put it, but
it is, yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's concerning, though.
I think this could be, just another one of those things where it's like, we gotta upgrade you guys. You need to upgrade your DNA
with some microplastic.
You already got
I'm wondering how that would
there.
Happen on accident. Like, I guess maybe I'm not a reproductive professional, but there could be microplastics in the food, and then it follows the line to the baby or something.
Yeah, it says the plastics might have reached the organ due to different physiology, diet, or even lifestyle.
Different physiology?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Like women they just have microplastics naturally.
Maybe.
I don't think that's it. That's pretty concerning though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, Cyborg Babies, just to get the headline there.
Classic.
Yep.
Okie dokie. Sorry about stepping on your stories there,
It's all right.
bro.
It's all right.
But now let's get into the big one.
Let's do it. And do I not have the jingle for that either? It looks like I'm just really. I'll just I'll just do
Yeah,
this.
but while you do that, mentioning Lazarus on YouTube says plastic changes our hormone levels. Just to add to that story, plastics are petroleum products that have been shown to increase synthetic estrogen in the body. That's why a lot of lotions and petroleum jelly, and they're even worried about plastics, just normal plastics around the day. I mean, I'm holding a plastic controller here. That's a little concerning too. But yes, so plastics can affect hormonal stuff in the body too, which makes that even more concerning. Might explain some of the recent problems in modern society and the random appearances of whatever, maybe allergens or diseases or disorders that were pretty rare in the past.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Burn it all.
Psyops.
Okay, time to go through the list of weird stuff involved in the Nashville thing. But just to start it off here, KKTV.com, CBS, person of interest identified in connection to Nashville bombing. Law enforcement source told CBS News a person of interest has been identified in connection to the Christmas morning explosion in Nashville. The person is connected to the RV that exploded. Oh, do we not have just like an intro article to this? Or are we just assuming everybody knows about it now?
I'm pretty sure people know about it, but you can summarize it
for
real quick
historical
if you want to.
purposes. I'll read this and then just summarize it. Police responded to a call of shots fired early Friday near the AT&T building in downtown Nashville. Instead, they found an RV that was blaring warnings about a bomb before it detonated around 6:30 a.m. At least 3 people were wounded in Nashville. Metro Police Chief John Drake said Friday that authorities had found tissue they believe to be connected to human remains. We found tissue we believe is connected to human remains near the site of the explosion. They have not indicated whether the remains are from someone connected to the explosion or from an innocent victim. Police later said they believe the bombing to be an intentional act. No kidding. No motive has been given.
Yeah, so to update on it real quick, though, before you go into it.
Wait. Just quick review.
Okay.
And then we'll give the update. Right. So, of course, everybody's known, but if you're listening to this sometime in the future, or if this is Gonz's son or daughter examining the weirdness of your dad, this was a story that came out, on Christmas morning. Christmas Day, this happened. There was an explosion in downtown Nashville, allegedly coming from an RV that was parked near 333 Commerce Street, which is an AT&T building that is said to be a major routing hub for telecommunications in that side of the country. There was a loudspeaker that blared for something like 30 minutes or 15 minutes that started out with fake machine gun noises. And then a creepy woman giving warnings for everyone within the earshot of her voice to evacuate because a bomb was going off. It then went off, and now we're left with these details. Okay, what's the update?
The update is that federal authorities say Nashville bombing suspect was killed in the explosion. So they're saying that the flesh that they found was the suspect, and that they died in this explosion. That's what they're saying.
That is what they're saying. Yeah.
There's a lot
there's a lot of that in this.
Yeah.
And especially with we'll be sort of reviewing a lot of the stuff that has been dug up by whether you want to call them citizen journalists or Twitter users. There's an enormous amount of information. So we're going to try to figure out what makes the most sense at this point.
Yeah, just to mention, I was looking for an actual story on this to put into the show, and I was just doing a normal Google search, and there was barely anything. I put Nashville explosion in Google, and literally there was like 2 stories. The New York Times, and then I found this KKTV one, and this was this was last night, so Saturday night, the day after Christmas. Literally nothing. I was actually kind of surprised. I'm like, I thought more people would be reporting this. but not a lot of results. And so I was surprised by that, but also, why is it that citizens, just normal citizens like you and I, Basil, and those listening and watching out there, why are we doing a better job connecting dots just online and looking at publicly available information than any of these news outlets are doing? It's quite not surprising,
It's
I guess.
almost
But it's
as if they don't want the truth to come out.
I know, but it's just,
or they're
it's
waiting
annoying.
for the official narrative. Well, and I'll make that point now, because the weirdest thing about this was that it seemed like the mainstream media was taken completely off guard. Now, when things like this happen, you might say, oh, of course they were caught off guard because this is a crazy thing. The problem is, when this happens, there is always an official narrative that comes out day one.
Right.
And it was crazy. I mean, the first stories you read about this, I read a CNN story, which was kind of the first thing that popped up for me when I learned about it. Mm-hmm. And it was the most bejangled, it's just crazy. It's like a stream of consciousness. Whoever was writing this over on CNN, and it was just like, oh my gosh, there was an explosion and there was an RV there, but then somebody heard some gunshots, and then then it was crazy, and there was a recording thing, and this lady said to run away, and then some people did, but apparently some people didn't. But I don't know, it was weird, man. That was actually how it was first reported. There was no I don't know, there was nothing. It was bizarre.
Yeah, and CNN, interesting connection to AT&T when it comes to the AT&T building there. That was sort of it seemed to be one of the targets, at least some of the infrastructure there. But obviously AT&T having connections to the government over the years, just not a surprise. Right. But also tied to CNN. And I think AT&T tried to sell CNN a couple weeks ago because I think they own CNN. Let me look at this article here. This is from a couple weeks ago. The case for indebted AT&T to sell CNN isn't clear-cut. Takeover interest, private equity. Yeah, I think AT&T owns CNN, and they were trying to sell them off.
Interesting.
A couple weeks ago. So
that gives it a weird little spin.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that angle to it, and so the fact that you said the CNN's reporting was all jangled, it's like maybe the top people were freaked out and didn't want to touch it.
It was so bizarre. It had no information whatsoever, and it's not like the information didn't exist, because I just jumped on Twitter.
Yeah,
and there was a bunch of solid information.
Oh, there's so much stuff. And so this one I'll mention, I covered it on a tweet here. Silas Savant on Twitter, some guy, he said, so that AT&T building explosion, its former owner is Hutan Yaguhu Buzeda, managing director, co-founder of Staple Street Capital, private equity group that owns Dominion Voting. He's the former senior VP of Cerebrus Capital, which acquired the AT&T building. So this is all, again, he has screenshots here. I don't think this guy's trying to misdirect or anything, just some guy.
There's an ownership connection between that building and Dominion Voting software.
Right. So already there's some shadiness going on with that.
Now, before we go into a lot of more of the sort of theories on this, I do want to say this was, whatever the intention of this was on sort of a physical level, there's some connections, like you mentioned, with Dominion. This was the central communication hub in the tri-state area that also handled, a lot of the networking and fiber and phone lines. A couple details: the 911 service went down for I think half or over half of Tennessee.
Yeah.
So there's always kind of a weird, I don't know. I described it once. I don't know if it's a very good description, but I described the weird suspicion kind of like a Ocean's 11 movie, where you have this the distraction, and then it blows up, and it's a big deal, and it's Christmas morning, and there's sort of like a psyop connection with it. It's very emotionally triggering for it to be happening on Christmas. And then the warning message with the creepy lady also has like a weird psychological aspect to it, but it takes down 911 calls for half of the state. So something could be happening somewhere else and the authorities would never know it. In fact, I believe 911, as of my last checking in, was still down for half the state. So, we're going on a couple days of no emergency services. Also, it shut down the airspace. The airspace over much of Tennessee is now turned. It has been. I had all the legal accoutrement to this, but it's turned it into like national defense space. Right. So nobody's allowed to fly over it, but that's also very suspicious. But there very much is. They're going to, and they already have been, painting this as a lone wolf thing. Here in America, there is a long-lasting tradition that when something happens, it's always a lone wolf. Whether it's a shooting or a bombing or a racially motivated attack or something on a planned. Maybe it's an assassination or kidnapping or something. It's always a lone wolf. And there's something very American about that narrative, in that Americans, normies, take that and it makes sense to them. The lone wolf, the guy was just crazy. It was just a crazy guy who did it for his own reasons. Nothing to see here. Stop looking into it. Lone wolf, lone wolf, lone wolf. And there's so many aspects of this. And we've already heard coming out, they're talking about they've found the person of interest, like we just mentioned, a lone wolf guy. And there's they're now trying to paint it that he did it because he was a 5G hater. And he was trying to send a message against 5G. And he's a crazy conspiracy theorist lone wolf. So nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, and something to mention as well. I think for a few weeks leading up to Christmas, there were some people pointing out how Bill Cooper, the late Bill Cooper, had mentioned in Behold a Pale Horse that they would try to pull off something on Christmas. I'm trying to find the reference in Behold a Pale Horse on the fly here, but I'm not having any luck with the searching capabilities here. But yeah, I think the lone wolf story is very convenient, especially when there's no narrative that's given. They don't want to associate it with anything. Edward Jones on Facebook posted that 4 days before this event, posted how AT&T won the investigation into Dominion. And later he made that post private, and then he no, not Alex Jones, Edward Jones. Ooh, maybe this was a psyop, an Alex Jones psyop. He's pretending to be somebody else on Facebook.
I don't want to give him credit.
But then he made his post private, and then he said that he's leaving town and that he would make the post public again. Who knows? I mean, I don't know what to think about all that, because I saw people sharing it and it confirmed whatever bias some of the conspiracy people were saying, but there's no way to tell just from just that. And again, I couldn't find any information on my very limited search that any of that is true. That AT&T won some kind of investigation into the Dominion machines.
Yeah, I couldn't quite find that either. I mean, I see people theorizing about it, but that's so that's the thing. Just to mention it, we don't come here just to repeat theories that we see posted on Twitter that we can't find our own backup for. Not to say everything we say is factually necessarily true, but at least we need to find our own evidence for it. We can't just take somebody's Twitter post and call it truth.
Yeah. Well, the other part of it too is we had the SolarWinds hack recently, right? And I think the SolarWinds hack is
Yes.
much bigger than
Thank
people
you for
realize.
bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the solar winds hack, I feel there's a connection here.
Yeah.
If again, I don't have evidence or documentation for it, but on a narrative crafting level for Great Reset purposes, Klaus Schwab was talking about. Of course, he was talking about
pandemic.
Yes, the cyber pandemic, and then of course we get the solar winds hack, the biggest hack probably in history. And then here's the thing with and IT guys and girls out there will know this. The first priority in cybersecurity is actually hardware security.
Yeah.
And so a solar winds hack, that's a big thing, a software hack. But that's that's only one aspect of cybersecurity. The next is hardware security, and that's where this comes in, because this explosion rocking the AT&T building, where all the hardware is stored for telecommunications, for data centers, for fiber optics. This was of a similar level. I think solar winds hack was a bigger. In sort of ethereal definition of damage, is a lot of damage. But as far as physical damage, this did a lot of physical damage to key hardware components of the tri-state area, one of which being Georgia. It's an interesting connection there. But this fits right into the Great Reset reasons why we need to have a Great Reset, because our cyber hardware is at risk.
Yeah, and I've just pulled up the web.archives.org page that we talked about a few episodes ago that lists that SolarWinds took down this list as soon as the hack went public, but it basically lists all the customers they have, including the all the government stuff, Pentagon, State Department, NASA, NSA, and AT&T top of the list there. In alphabetical order.
AT&T was a SolarWinds thing.
Yeah, so there's another connection there. But the hardware thing is a big deal, because if they can knock out communications, and they can kind of test this out locally, right? Maybe they're not ready to do a full scale, across the U.S. blackout, but if they can do it locally and start maybe a pattern or test to knock out communications. Because here's what's going to happen. We're so dependent. Everybody gets their news on computers and internet now, right? If there's a hardware issue with the internet and people can't get their news and information and all this kind of stuff for one day, not even a week, doesn't have to be a week, one day, let's say 1 or 2 days, the people are going to be clamoring for the government to step in. Hey guys, fix it, please. We need our internet.
We're going to take away the internet utility from private control and turn it into a government controlled utility.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, the other part of this, man, there's just so many angles to this. And that's, excuse us why we're not bringing every article and every source and post. There's just too much. It would fill up the entire show, and we got other stuff to hit. But one other weird part about it was the countdown. And I know you got something on the countdown, so maybe we can transition into that in a second. But the fact that gave a countdown, whether it was a half hour, 15 minutes, and the creepy lady saying, if you can hear this, run away. There's a bomb. Don't get near me. And somehow people still got near. That's its own sort of weird thing. But aside from that, this was obviously meant for infrastructure damage. The PSYOP on Christmas and with everything was obviously meant to shake faith in our hardware infrastructure, our cyber hardware infrastructure. But oh no, don't lose this train of thought. Hold on, give me 1 second. Play some elevator music. Oh no, I gotta be taking my alpha brain, man. I just got so obsessed with setting it up that what was I talking about? I was doing the psychological. They went a very long way. Whoever did this went a very long way to prevent civilian casualties, to
Yeah.
prevent casualties. Now, that doesn't fit into the lone wolf model that we know of. But here's something that just kind of occurred to me. If this is not me, this is not what I believe, but if this would be done by an organization, an official organization, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a government entity, whether this, whether that, why go so far to prevent casualties? And it came so simply. It could be a legal issue. Whoever it is, potentially afraid of getting caught, and they want to protect themselves from all sorts of legal issues for whatever reason. And, that's just such a weird part, because have you ever heard of something like this? Someone going so far out of their way to not hurt any humans, but completely destroy, some infrastructure, and go so far as to give, a half-hour warning to make sure people don't get hurt. I've never heard of this before. And so it kind of stinks of like, oh, well, we gotta pull off this obvious psychological operation, but we also need to hurt some infrastructure. Oh, but we kind of either have some morals or some legal reasons where we can't hurt anybody, which I just found, I don't know, that just made sense to me. I don't have any evidence, but it just made sense that was a clue that this was some sort of legal entity, whether it's a corporation or a government agency or a whatever. Just doesn't fit the lone wolf thing. And then secondly, oh, how convenient they found some human tissue, where the human tissue, it's kind of like when they found the hijacker's passport in the rubble of 9/11. Like, okay, whatever you say. I mean, the guy had a half hour to escape, but he just didn't want to. And you just happened to find some tissue in a completely incineration level explosion that you can connect it and find your lone wolf. Don't think so.
Well, and there's some video footage. I don't have it pulled up here, but people were saying the explosion wasn't even from the van that was parked there. And there's an angle from another video that shows that's possible, because it's hard to tell because the frame rates are really bad. So it's like one frame is normal, next frame like it's just humongous boom.
Right.
But it there's some questions to be had there of like, was it even the van? Was it all the stuff? But let me play
that's a little funky.
Yeah.
One last one before you do the countdown thing. Okay. Man, there's just so much stuff. I'm trying to like zoom through it. Yeah. The other weird thing was, and this was Ford Fisher on Twitter did a whole thread. I don't know if you took a look at it, but just made it even more suspicious to me. Not that I think he even claims he doesn't know if it's related or not, but there were some alternative angles of the explosion that had not been seen before that popped up on anonymous YouTube accounts by the name of S. McG.
Oh, right. Yeah,
which
I saw
people
this.
So there's pretty deep rabbit hole of this S. McG YouTube account. Account was opened in 2014, only started posting in October, looks connected to some Irish stuff. He's only got a few videos and they're really bad and weird and creepy, but a lot of references to Ireland. And the one comment as of the time of Ford Fisher's reporting, the one comment on the entire channel where this brand new anonymous video of a new angle popped up was claiming to be the IRG, which is the Irish Republican Guard, which is sort of a remnant militia from the Troubles. Now, I don't know all the details about them. Just look into the IRG, but they specifically posted on this account specifically claiming to not have responsibility for this attack. And it was just bizarre. Why would an Irish militia who, I'm pretty sure the UK government considers a terrorist organization. Why would they come out and specifically not claim responsibility? Like, who is going to think that? Somebody over there thought that they were going to be blamed for this. And now I don't think it was the IRG, but it was just very suspicious. Just added a whole nother level of suspicion to the thing.
The rise of Ireland. World War III, here we come.
Be careful, man. Those Irish nationalists, take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, well, they got some. They were treated as sort of the first slaves in America, right?
Yeah, they were treated very poorly at the beginning of, the American immigration boom, and they were treated very poorly by the British, even as recently as the 90s and even on into the 2000s.
Yeah. Well,
that's a whole other thing. I've given my my history lesson on the Troubles on past episodes.
Okay, let me get to this story. Or there's a story here, but I wanted to go ahead and do it myself. This is a secret audio message before Nashville blast. And I'm going to play it, and I'll let people in the chat, if you haven't seen this or heard this, see if they can make it out. It's one thing to say or suggest muddy audio, what they might be saying, or what the audio might be saying. Mm-hmm. But it's another thing to do kind of a blind test. But here's the audio in real time from the surveillance video.
And listen carefully to that recording, which police, like you said, Phil, confirming now was coming from the RV. Let's roll it.
This area must be evacuated now. This area must be evacuated now. This area must be evacuated now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now.
Whew, that is crazy. So there it is.
And then there is the aftermath.
Yeah, so that's the real-time footage. It was in 1.5 speed earlier, but I slowed it down for you. But yeah, if you can hear this, evacuate now. If you can hear this, evacuate now, over and over and over again. And what this post here is claiming is that if you reverse the audio here, you can hear a secret message. Now, I did two versions of it. Tried to clean it up a little bit. Use some filters and some denoisers, some, my audiophile tricks. And so here's the first one reversed. Okay, so did it sound like anything to you there?
I couldn't really hear anything.
Let me play this one. It's a little clearer.
Yeah. Are you ready? Oh, Merry Christmas. Oh, that's weird, man.
Yeah, so what the people, some of these folks are suggesting.
Are you ready, Merry Christmas?
Yeah, so are you ready? Well, the people that posted this, the Patriot Punk and the Citizen Free Press here article, they're suggesting that it said, "It will happen very quickly. Are you ready? It will happen very quickly. Are you ready?" It repeats that over and over. And then it says, "Are you ready for a Merry Christmas to all?" The part that's really clear is Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest.
The Merry Christmas, really, you can hear quite clearly.
Yeah, that part's really bizarre. Let me play it again here. Are you ready? It'll happen very quickly. Are you ready? Or a Merry Christmas for all.
Yeah. It's creeping me out, man. Stop it. I don't want to listen to it anymore.
It's the end there. But yeah, it is very bizarre. It is very strange. And it could be one of these spiritual imprints, if anything. And it's just weird. I don't know that there's any, like, I don't, yeah.
The one thing about it, about the recording is that it's not a robot voice. I don't think it's a robotic voice.
No. It sounded like
it sounds like a professional person, like a professional voiceover person.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's a robot. Now, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it sounds like whoever put this recording together really knew what they were doing. And
are you talking about the backwards version or the forward version?
The forward version.
Okay, yeah, the forward version definitely sounds like a normal.
It sounds like it doesn't sound like a Siri voice. No, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But
hard to tell.
Yeah, but yeah, weird, man. And and also just to mention again the fake gunshots at the beginning of the thing. I mean, they just wanted to scare people away.
What was the YouTube account that had posted about it that you said?
S McG. Capital M, little C.
Okay. Maybe. G. Okay. This news report here from News Channel 5, they're sourcing that account here for the video.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. It says chilling video before explosion, courtesy YouTube, S McG.
Yes, I did see that. I saw a screenshot of that. Yeah,
Okay.
It's weird, man.
That is weird.
S McG person is being used like on news reports.
Maybe they're they're part of some, a quote unquote terrorist group, and somebody was like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna use you here."
Yeah, it's
Go ahead
weird.
And step aside. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing sounds like and looks like a false flag, if there was anything like a false flag.
This is not a lone wolf thing. This has no markers of a lone wolf thing. They already are, and they're going to continue to paint it as a lone wolf anti-5G person. And as usual, they'll be using that to further censor anybody who has anything else to say about 5G that isn't the official narrative. Now, I personally am not that worked up about 5G, and a lot of our listeners are, and that's totally okay. I've got nothing against the 5G theories. There's just certain reasons why I don't buy all of them. But anywho, this will be used to further stigmatize people who go against the 5G narrative.
Yeah, well, at the very least, if not more, if not just the whole conspiracy idea.
Side effect. I don't think it was for that. It's a nice little bonus.
Right.
Nice little bonus for the narrative.
Yeah, for the mainstream for sure. I'm just interested to see how governments in general will respond to something like this, especially if we have more. This is one. Could there be other events like this across the country?
It's possible. And more than anything, I'm disturbed by the psychological effects of this.
Yeah.
Whatever they wanted to take out in the AT&T building, they may or may not have done it, but the psychological effects on the population are irreversible.
Yeah. And so we just wanted to bring it to you with as much info as we can. We're not coming to any conclusions other than likely a psyop.
Certainly at least a psyop.
Hybrid war, psyops.
We are in a hybrid war for sure. So there you go. That's the Nashville boom, and the reason for the show title, Weeping in Nashville Beneath. It's a kind of a take on weeping and gnashing of teeth, but I thought it was, low-hanging fruit. Nashville.
You got it.
Gnashing.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Plus,
I didn't want to necessarily put Nashville in the title, even though I did for some of the live stream. But
Nashville's had a hard year, man. Didn't they have something crazy happen last year too?
I don't remember.
They've been hit a couple times over the past couple of years.
I live in California, dude. It's like apocalypse every day here. So I can't compare to more rural places having having some issues, but yeah,
all
we're
right,
all going through some stuff.
we got to keep moving. I don't know what we're gonna do. We got to skip some stuff or something.
Let me get through some of this AI stuff very quickly here.
Do it.
Artificial intelligence.
You had your Flippy update, updating us on a whole bunch of stuff regarding AI. Here's AI tangent with the robots, but this is more specific to AI. Reuters.com. Google told its scientists to, quote, strike a positive tone in AI research document.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Alphabet Inc.'s Google this year moved to tighten control over its scientists' papers by launching a sensitive topics review, and in at least 3 cases requested authors refrain from casting its technology in a negative light, according to internal communications and interviews with researchers involved in the work. Don't be evil, Google. Yeah, they're evil. That's evil. That's super evil. It's like, hey, can't say anything bad about AI.
Yeah, they gotta lock down the messaging for AI. No more of this questioning the ethics, or no more of this, anything but complete praise of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and even more interesting, I think this is not being talked about enough here. TheHill.com, landmark artificial intelligence legislation should become law. And it says here, it's pop-ups, tucked away in the 4,517-page annual defense bill awaiting signature is an overlooked piece of legislation on artificial intelligence. Don't worry, America. It doesn't make every military weapon system autonomous or require brigades of robotic infantry. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's a sensible 63-page plan establishing a civilian-led initiative to coordinate and accelerate investments into trustworthy, in quotations, artificial intelligence systems across the federal government. Why would they put trustworthy in quotations?
Quote unquote trustworthy.
It just makes it more suspicious. In passing this legislation, the United States Congress has demonstrated that it collectively realizes that AI will be transformative and that urgent research and development is needed to ensure the United States remains the world leader in AI. Make no mistake, the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act of 2020, also dubbed as Division E of the National Defense Authorization Act, is the closest thing to a national strategy on AI from the United States to be formally endorsed by Congress. And it goes on. I won't go through the whole story here. You can do that. Go to canarycrownnewstalk.com and get all the show notes and links to the stories we cover. Let me just read this part here. The incoming Biden administration has an opportunity to foster an environment that encourages innovation for technology companies and startups while doubling down on trustworthy research and development at NSF, NIST, and cabinet agencies to establish the necessary standards and guardrails for AI systems. So, Biden's gonna do the work. The good work for the AI. So
great, thanks.
Yeah, good, thanks, Biden. And then one more quick story here from AI. This is CBSNews.com. A crewless boat is recreating the Mayflower's 400-year-old journey with the help of artificial intelligence.
What?
The Mayflower
sounds like a magic ritual or something.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I brought up the whole idea of empires not lasting more than an average of 250 years.
Yeah.
This type of thing is definitely like, the AI are here. It's the age of AI.
Yeah, well, you think about the Puritans that came over on the Mayflower to escape persecution.
Right.
Having AI make the same journey during the time where Google is saying, don't say anything bad about AI, and Biden trying to pump up AI. So AI making the journey out of persecution and into the new world.
Yeah. The Mayflower carried some of the first European settlers across the Atlantic Ocean to North America 400 years ago this year. To commemorate the anniversary, another vessel is creating that voyage with the help of artificial intelligence. Quote, "We don't know how it's going to go. Is it going to make it across the Atlantic?" Software engineer and emerging technology specialist Rosie Licorice told CBS News' Roxana Saberi. fingers crossed that it does have a successful first voyage. So they've got all sorts of cameras. We've got global positioning systems on either side. What it won't have, he said, is people space. Instead, the ship will be guided by artificial intelligence designed by IBM. And,
great. Thanks,
yep.
IBM.
Yeah, thanks, IBM. So all the stuff, all the things, the machines, the eyes, the cameras.
You got to check the cargo on that thing, man. It's going to be filled with contraband.
Yeah, it says, let's see.
Contraband.
It looks at its own cameras like eyes. It looks at the radar. It looks at all sorts of other sensors. Then it charts its own course, and it can deal with unique situations without any human input. We're simulating what she's seeing. Talking about the ship. And it goes on. But yeah, that's maybe this is the beginning. The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end. Yes, it's the age of AI. Yeah. Escaping persecution to thrive in the new world.
Yeah. So there you go. That's some quick AI updates to keep us abreast, because I think 2021, man, it feels like some faster progress.
It doesn't sound like it's going to get any better.
No, it doesn't at all. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot to mention this earlier when you were talking about the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I was clicking around YouTube and watching like Mandalorian type videos, and I'm sorry, I have a garage door closing or something that's distracting me.
No worries, I can't hear it.
Okay, good sound gate. So I was watching some stuff, and there was a video called Mark Hamill reacts to the final episode of Mandalorian. So I'm watching it, and
don't give anything away.
No, I won't.
Okay.
And so there's Mark Hamill sitting there with his headphones, and he's watching it, and when he reacts to things, he's going, and like, I was like, what? That's how Mark Hamill reacts? I was fooled. It was a deep fake. They did one of those deep fakes where actors do the thing, and then they put the like a deep fake thing over their face.
It wasn't Mark Hamill.
It wasn't Mark Hamill, dude.
Fake of Mark Hamill.
I was, for like 2 minutes, I was like, whoa, Mark Hamill's kind of weird dude. First off.
Why does his mouth do that?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, none of that appeared to me. Like, none of it seemed like.
Spot it at
No,
all.
I couldn't tell. It was more like, why is he making that noise? He's a weird dude. Like, why does he talk like that? But then I'm like, wait a minute. And so I, clicked around a little bit more, and I realized, it's a deep fake. So I think that's going to be a thing big time in 2021. We'll get to that, but we've mentioned
it. And really, I mean, this is not one of those things where we're like, sometime in the future, you can't believe anything you see. It's right now, guys. Right now. You really need to not believe everything you see someone say, because and 2021 is absolutely good. That I think you're right. I think we'll get into predictions later, but
okay, well, I'll save my thing for the prediction. But go ahead. Let's take a break real quick.
Okay, real quick break. Okay, folks, we're going to take a very, very quick break, so don't go anywhere. But afterwards, we've got some pandemic specials we got to talk about with some vaccine update, and very important for the last show of the year there. But before we do that, we want to thank some of our producers. I'm going to skip a lot of the long-winded preaching that I have about advertising and why it's ruining the world, and why you shouldn't get a robot wife. But as you know, we do not advertise on the show. We are not beholden to any corporate interests or corporate money. Allows us to talk about the things that we need to talk about. Instead, we are on the value for value model, which means we put out the show, we make it happen. We do it often. We do it well. And if you want to be a part of the media revolution, the news revolution of the future, where no longer is your media, your content funded by corporations and advertising agencies, you have a responsibility to invest in your own media future. And you can or you can't, whatever, it's up to you. If you like the way things are, that's okay. But we want to thank some of the people who have decided to take the future of their media into their own hands and become producers of Canary Cry News Talk. We have the Patreon account, patreon.com/CCNT. But don't worry. There's no producers to thank on the Patreon account. Instead, we'll go straight over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support has all sorts of literature for you to read about why we're on the value for value model. But you can also become a producer there. There's PayPal options. You can become a monthly producer, or if commitment's not your thing, you can make a producership in any amount. There's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Gonz, who do we have coming in?
Today, we have a couple people to thank from PayPal. First, Jason B. Thank you, producer Jason B.
Thank you very much, producer Jason.
And next, we have Marsha M. Producer Marsha, thank you.
And thank you very much, producer Marsha.
You make it possible for us to not have to transition into waffles.
Everybody loves waffles.
That's right. Everybody does love waffles, but we don't want to talk about it every show to get a paycheck.
Exactly. I do want to make a call out to producer Valerie and producer Kyle. We are waiting for your titles. They are our new knight and dame.
Yes. We mentioned Kyle on the last show. Still waiting, Kyle. And Valerie, producer Valerie, rather, has let us know she's been supporting us for many years now and sent us the accounting. And she will be knighted. She will become a dame as soon as she gets us her information. And for those who are unaware, we have the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, which is reserved for very special producers who have over a period of time or not, whatever the case may be, have supported the show in the amount of $1,000 or more. They get a very special thank you from us, and we'll be knighting them as soon as they send us their information.
Yes, so thank you very much. Looking forward to that. You can also support the show with your time and talent. One of the ways is to send us jingles. And Martin B. sent us this jingle to add to the collection of bidet jingles that I guess he put together earlier. This is Bidet 2.
It's a bidet. Don't get me started.
That's a funny one. That's good.
So,
that's a good jingle form.
Yeah, jingle form. So anytime we have a story about a bidet, we will launch that jingle. So thank you for that.
I do want to say real quick, I want to squeeze it in here because he came in during the show. Producer Saul came in.
Producer Saul.
Yeah, during the show, I figured since it was the last show of the year, we want to make sure to give him credit, at least in the year that he produced the show.
Yes. Yeah, let me put that down so that I don't forget. And then we want to show you guys some art, which...
Woo!
Oh, here it is.
One art, please.
Okay. This art has some explaining to do.
So this is by producer Allie.
Yeah.
Our second youngest now known producer.
Yes. Now, I have a little
Yeah.
story. So the art is of Krampus. And it's very good Krampus, goat figure dancing around like a Krampus,
like a goat would, yes.
Yes, and the text on this says, "Crumping Krampus is crippled by cramps while eating a crumpet." Of course, for those who don't know, Krampus is sort of I think it's like a Scandinavian, European, either way. It's like the opposite of Santa. If you're a bad little girl or boy, Krampus comes and takes you away instead of getting presents. And I did a fun thing yesterday, Gonz, which was I tuned in to a Canary Cry community meetup on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
It was very cool. Apparently, this has been going on for a while. It was organized by producer Ciara, and it was radical. You know, they invited us to go say hi, show up to the meetup and say hi to everybody and talk. And I came in a little late, but was able to make it to the Zoom meetup and had a great time. There was 6 or 7 people in there by the time I got there. I don't know what else there is to say. It was just a wonderful time talking with all the people. I got to kind of put out some first comments on the Nashville thing, but I also got to just talk about other fun stuff, talk about the Bible, talk about some of my own childhood stuff, and learned some stuff about some of the people there. Met producer Charlie and producer Allie were there.
Oh.
And I forget exactly. Oh, I was for some reason got on a tangent about crumping. Do you know what crumping is?
Sounds kind of familiar.
It's a dance. Yeah,
okay.
Crumping is a type of dance. It's sort of started in inner city thing, and it's a very aggressive.
Oh, yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
Sort of a very aggressive type of hip hop dancing.
Yeah.
And of course, when I mentioned this, and for some reason I can't remember why, but I was explaining crumping to the group. Some of the quality content that I provide. And then, of course, our Canarians, they're fun-loving folk. And it just got on this whole tangent of crumping and crumpus, eating crumpets, getting cramps. And so this piece of art is directly from that conversation on the Canary Cry Community Meetup on Zoom. And thank you very much, Allie, for rendering this bizarre side conversation into a beautiful piece of art of Krampus.
I'm just picturing the CCP when they filter through all the content that people are leaving on Zoom, and they're jumping on. Oh, we'll get to see what this Basil and all his Canarian people are talking about, and they tune in, and it's cramping. Krampus is crippled by cramps while eating a crumpet, and they're going, "Oh." What's that mean? They're probably trying to decode it,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
No, there's, of course, hidden Illuminati messages in there because I'm a CIA handler. And I'm seeing all the people talking in the chat, thinking I'm getting it wrong, calling it crunking or crunk. No, I'm telling you, it's crumping, Krumping. It's not crunk. That's its own thing.
It's crumping.
Google it. It's crumping.
Yeah.
Okay. I know my urban dances, my street dances.
It's a free, expressive, exaggerated, and highly energetic movement. It really is kind of it's an interesting form.
Yeah.
Never got into it myself.
Don't question my street smarts, folks. I'll crump all over you.
Oh, okay. That'll be the we'll put a paywall up for that one.
That's the ice.
We'll have you crumping and complaining about Wonderwoman 84 at the same time. It'll be your stage
quality bonus content.
Okay.
Get up the Patreon, everybody. Okay, thank you very much, producer Allie, as always. And thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps on last episode. Very important to have those timestamps on the YouTube video.
Yes. And real quick mention of Canary Cry merch perch.
That's
on the jingle.
Right. I know. I always forget. I'm not used to that jingle yet. CanaryCryMerchPerch.com is producer run. Gonz and I don't run it. CanaryCryMerchPerch.com is where you can get all your Canary Cry merch. And a lot of it has artists' art that's made it on the show. There's all sorts of cool shirts and gym bags and mugs and cool merch. It's a good place to go. Also, there's the pre-orders for the 2021 Canary Cry calendar, which is so cool. If you haven't heard about it, bunch of producers of the show got together. Gonz and I had nothing to do with this. And they put together a Canary Cry calendar for 2021. It has all the notable dates for stuff that we mention on this show, like the fake moon landing filming, it's got Gonz and I's birthday on there, I think. It's got May Day. It's got, what are some other examples? I need to make sure to have an example list here. But it's all the good stuff. All the dates that are relevant to the fringy Canary Cry worldview, I guess, are on there, so you never miss an important day. And they are for pre-sale right now on canarycrimemerchperch.com. They're $20, so this is pretty affordable, as is everything on Canary Crime Merch Perch. It's all sold at cost to keep the cost down for our dear listeners. But you do have an opportunity to tip the artist or the webmaster, which please do that. Or I know, I got it. I got the message. But we were reminded, Gonz, to make sure and mention that that a fun aspect of the pre-order for the 2021 Canary Cry calendar is that producer Isaac was letting us know there is a pre-built in 33% royalty for you and I, Gonz.
Fantastic. So, it has worked.
It's 33%. Just so everybody knows that apparently we're in the Illuminati.
Yes. And I wanted to mention, thank you for that, Producer Dust, and everybody that's been involved with the calendar. It looks I'm really excited for it. I'm ready. I have a spot on the wall.
I know we get little art updates once in a while. Very exciting.
Yeah, and I am very sorry, but I totally forgot about Josiah when we were talking about jingles. Josiah sent in, it's more of an ISO. But he was watching he was watching a show, Arrested Development.
Yes,
and
great show.
There's a character on there that said this.
What do you expect, Mother? I'm half machine.
There you go.
Yes, that's Buster. He gets his hand bitten off by a seal. Sorry, spoiler alerts. And he gets a hook as a replacement.
Right.
And he has an existential crisis about being part machine.
Yes. So there you go. Sorry about that, Josiah. I forgot about you in the earlier segment there, but I think that's it for all the thanking and the break. Is there anything else?
I'm ready. Let's wake on up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
All right.
Okay.
So what do we got? Oh, we got the Waccine pandemic special here.
Waccine.
A pandemic special.
Did you want to read that note that we got? Did you see that?
Which one? Oh, shoot. And I meant to mention something else. Real quick.
Yeah.
If you want to attend a Canary Cry Zoom meetup, they do it once or twice a month. It's super fun. I recommend you do it. I'm going to give you an email here, and I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay. I've gotten permission to give away this email. If you want to be involved and invited to the meetups, the email is Ciara, C-I-A-R-A, Lauren, L-A-U-R-E-N 93, Ciara Lauren 93 at gmail.com, and send an email to producer Ciara, and she will give you an invite to the meetup, the Zoom meetup. So there you go. Please do that if you want to get involved. And yes, I am planning on, I'm not promising to attend every single one, but I had so much fun joining that one that I'm definitely going to do it again multiple times in the future.
Very cool.
Okay. Sorry. There's that. What was the thing you forgot?
I didn't forget anything. I wanted to see if you wanted to read this email from Sigra the Beast.
We
just came in.
Ooh, just came through. Yeah, let's do it. We'll kick off the Waccine segment.
All right.
This is from Sigra the Beast. Ooh, this is the mark of the beast. Let's find out. Basil and Gonz, on you. I have not read this. I'm reading this cold, so excuse me if something happens. Basil and Gonz, on your Twitch channel, I go by the name as Sigra the Beast, and I wanted to let you know that I received the Moderna version. Oh my gosh, risky maneuver. A Moderna version of the COVID-19 vaccine on Christmas Eve. Wow, Merry Christmas. I am a frontline healthcare worker, an X-ray technologist to be specific, and was offered a chance to receive it in the first wave of healthcare workers here at Evergreen Health. Enclosed is a photo of the record card they gave me as proof. I can provide my driver's license if you need additional confirmation of my identity on the condition my real name and personal information is not made public. Oh, that's very legit of you to offer that to us. We may do that. Anyway, I share this information with you in case you want any firsthand information on any possible side effects I might go through. So far, the only side effects I've noticed has been, 1, the pain from the shot was more intense than other vaccines I've received in the past. It's day 3 after the shot and the pain is finally subsiding. Interesting. That lines up with what Bill Gates laughed about being a bad side effect, saying extreme pain, or what was it?
Whatever it was, yeah.
Laughing about how it caused extreme pain. Okay. 2, increased sensitivity to pain, heat, and cold. Chronic pains that I've had for a while and can normally tolerate hurt more than usual, but weren't overwhelming. My heat and cold tolerance were also off, as I'm normally able to handle both better than before the shot. This only lasted about a day. Oh my gosh. Energy drain. This was probably the most notable side effect I went through. A few hours after receiving the shot, I felt like I was drained. I felt led real quick by the spirit Gonz. They did send us their COVID card, which you might be tempted to show on the air, but I think it's got
I'm
the
not
real
going
name.
to.
Okay.
I'm not going to because it has
Good.
his
Just
name
wanted
on
to
it.
get ahead of that. Yeah. By 8 p.m. that evening, 5 hours after the shot, I had to crawl in bed because I just felt wiped out. I didn't wake up again until 9 a.m. Christmas Day. Wow. Let's see. What time does it? Yeah, okay. Oh, didn't give the sleepy time, but apparently they slept a lot. On Christmas Day, I still felt drained, but not as much as the day before. It wasn't until today that I felt back to my normal energy levels 3 days later. Beyond the 3 side effects I've listed above, there were no other side effects that stood out. If you're wondering why I would put myself at risk like this, the simple answer is that I'm the most expendable person in my group of family and friends. I'm divorced and childless, while my friends and family are all married with children. And since I was at the top of the list to receive the vaccine given, I'm a healthcare worker. I was willing to place myself at risk so I could experience any side effects and other issues before my family and friends potentially put themselves at risk. Anyways, I'll be willing to share any future effects I go through and any health problems that might occur as they happen. I know I'll have to receive a second shot in 28 days after this one, and I'm willing to share how that goes as well if you wish. If not, no worries. I just wanted to offer firsthand info about it. Sigra the Beast. Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for this email. I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering why would you do that? But you gave a little explanation there at the end. Sounds like you're, sort of a guinea pig. You're knowingly making yourself a guinea pig to test it out for your family and friends, and that certainly has some honorable aspects to it. So good luck to you. So right off the bat, the no adverse side effects is proving to be false, as we knew. And yes, I would love for you to keep us updated, Sigra, on how that develops. Let us know everything. Pay attention. And I'd be curious. You are a health professional, so I wonder if you would be able to get, I don't know, maybe some like more, more like, I don't know, get some blood work or something, like get some more information that maybe regular people wouldn't be able to get to. Maybe take you're an X-ray technician. Take an X-ray of the place where you got the shot. See if there's a microchip in there.
Oh, well, I was going to say, if you turn into a Nephilim, then we also want to still hear from you, but we might have to rebuke you or something.
Yeah, we'll pray for you. And in fact, I would say all of us Canarians should be praying for Sigra.
Yeah.
Because, yes, that is certainly not a thing that I would do for my friends and family. So this is certainly, like I said, it's got some honorable aspects to it.
I will mention...
Any notes?
I will mention that I think this goes to show that the concepts that this particular vaccine is the Revelation 13 prophesied mark of the beast, maybe a little bit, maybe put to rest a little bit on that front, at least for now. And again, people are saying, oh, it'll lead to the mark of the beast. Yeah, but everything's leading to the mark of the beast. The credit cards led to the mark of the beast.
Right. We're in a system that is all leading to the mark of the beast. The all-seeing eye on your dollar bill is just as much of a step towards the mark of the beast as a vaccine, or given the note that if indeed, which we believe is the case, there's not necessarily a microchip, and you don't have to sign a statement saying you rebuke the authority of Jesus Christ, which you will need to do with the real mark of the beast. It's certainly a step. I understand that logic, but we're taking steps that way as a system and as a society every day. Unfortunately, not to say that it's right, but it's a much bigger in scope than just getting a shot.
Yeah, and I'll mention it here on Twitter and on YouTube. I posted a poll. And on YouTube, it was, is the mRNA vaccine the biblically prophesied mark of the beast? And your options were yes, and people who take it cannot be saved. In other words, go to hell. No, but it's still concerning, and I don't trust it. And no, I'm pro-vax. And not surprisingly, no, I'm pro-vax got 2%. Yes, the answer yes, that it is the mark of the beast, 15%. The majority, 83% of the 4,136 votes, that's a lot of votes, went to no, but still concerning, and I don't trust it. So 83% of you out there that watch the channel that voted on this post said that it is not the mark of the beast, but still concerning. And on Twitter, I actually had a secondary part of that. If you answered yes to the question, is it the mark of the beast? If you answered yes, then the next question was, then are they going to hell? Whoever takes this vaccine, are they going to hell?
Right.
And are they irredeemable? And 47% of the people, 78 people, said yes to the first question, and 47% of that, so half the people said yes, the people who take the mRNA vaccine are going to hell. But surprisingly, 40% said they changed their mind. That now that option was placed, now that question was placed in front of them, that they changed their mind that it's maybe not the mark of the beast. So,
and that's the thing, and we're already triggering.
We've already done this discussion.
We've already done the triggering, but
we're going to trigger every time we talk about this. We're going to trigger people.
But it's good to know that it's only 15%. It's just allowed 15%.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's a very loud and boisterous 15%, but yeah, they're the ones that are going to say something.
We'll finish this and move on by reiterating. The biblical description of the mark of the beast includes many aspects of whatever this mark is, more than you won't be able to buy or sell. People love to talk about the buy or sell thing, referring to, you won't be able to go to the store without a vaccine. You can still get stuff online, but whatever. Even if that is the case, if there's not an oath rejecting Jesus Christ attached to the mark of the beast, then it's probably not the mark of the beast. And yeah, I mean, that's interesting that you phrased your poll that way, because technically, if someone thinks the vaccine is the mark of the beast and someone gets the vaccine, then they are for certain hellbound. Yeah. And so that's, I think that's interesting how there was a little bit of a turnaround there in your poll.
Yeah, no, it was good to see that. But then, of course, there's always, like you said, it's a loud minority that post and comment and do that kind of thing. So yeah, it almost makes me think if there is an element of a psyop even there to try to make this community just come off as even more intense about some of the views.
Bit. Yeah, maybe.
But, I don't know.
Again, and hey, if you hold the position that it's the mark of the beast, make your decisions based on that. I totally empower you to do that.
I'm not against.
Not trying to make you get the vaccine. Whenever we talk about this, they always think we're trying to tell them to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I know that's not what we're saying at all. But that's what's going to happen. But let's go through these stories real quick because we're a little short on time. But
let's just play the clip. It'll speak for itself.
We have a clip.
I thought so. You're supposed to have a clip for this Fauci thing. There's a whole clip I sent you.
Oh, you sent me a clip?
Yeah, it was on Signal though.
Oh, okay, hold on. That's actually
it summed the whole thing up in a clip. It's a CNN.
Oh, okay. Here, read the headline there, and then I'll.
You want me to do the elevator music again?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull it up. You should be easy to find it. This was actually reported. The one you have here is on theblaze.com. Fauci admits to deceiving the public about herd immunity because he wanted more people to get vaccinated. Oh, excuse me. Show burps coming up. That's funny. That was a great Blaze headline. In a startling interview with the New York Times, Dr. Anthony Fauci, head of the government's coronavirus task force, admitted that he did not level with the American people about how many people would need to be vaccinated in order to achieve herd immunity, because he didn't think the public was ready to hear his true thoughts, which he feared might discourage people from getting vaccinated. Yeah, that's why he also told us he vaccinated Santa Claus.
Well, the other thing, did you notice that, and people are talking about this, but so Fauci gets the vaccine on TV. Why can't I get this article to? Fauci gets the vaccine on the TV on his left arm, and then when he's talking about it later on, about how it's a little soreness in the arm, he points to his right shoulder.
Yeah, he points to the wrong shoulder. Yeah.
Kind of weird. Just pointing it out, not saying it, but
Did you find it? Because I'm gonna try to find it real quick.
I'm trying to find it.
It's a clip. It's all summed up.
I know, but it's an Apple.
Hold on.
It's an Apple News link that you gave me, so it's not the easiest thing.
I'm getting it for you.
Explains why Dr. Fauci explains why. Blah blah blah. Here it is. I found it.
Copy. You found it? Okay.
Which, by the way, I think the World Health Organization changed their definition of.
They did. I wanted to mention that too.
Yeah.
Because
herd immunity,
we've been following this. Yes, we've been following this trend all through 2020, where they're not just the World Health Organization, but Webster's Dictionary and all sorts of other outlets are actively changing definitions of things just to, in real time to craft the narrative and change the narrative coming from outlets they don't agree with.
Yeah, so this is a 4-minute clip. So I don't know exactly what part of the clip you wanted me to play. But
just to start at the beginning.
It would take 70 to 75%. Then when newer surveys said 60% or more would take it, I thought I can.
Okay. All right. So she's summarizing the discrepancy of what Fauci said. So.
Right.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. I'll start it right.
In the United States, here's what you said. You said when polls said only about half of all Americans would take a vaccine, I was saying herd immunity would take 70 to 75%. Then when newer surveys said 60% or more would take it, I thought I can nudge this up a bit. So I went to 80, 85. And then you go on to say that it may be as high as 90%. So my question is, why weren't you straight with the American people about this to begin with?
No, actually, Dana, I don't think it can be interpreted as being straight or not. We have to realize that we have to be humble and realize what we don't know. These are pure estimates. And the
calculations need to do
that I made, 70, 75%, it's a range. The range is going to be somewhere between 70 and 85%. The reason I first started saying 70, 75, I brought it up to 85. That's not a big leap to go from 75 to 85. It was really based on calculations and pure extrapolations from measles. Measles is about 98% effective vaccine.
Always
the
measles.
COVID-19 vaccine is about 94, 95.
Let me mention too, because I know that they had they talk about measles all the time. The number of deaths, and I get the population was way less back in before the 1960s. But it infected a whole lot of people for sure. It was like 2 to 3 million people infected each year in America. But the death rate was like 400 400
Yeah,
to
it was
500.
a cutesy thing.
Yeah, it wasn't
cutesy
much.
like the chicken pox.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just the thing that sometimes kids got, and yeah, of course, it's a disease. It's a little dangerous. Some people do, suffer
Develop complications.
long-term ramifications from that. Just like the chicken pox can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Not saying the measles are nothing, but it was a cutesy disease. That's why Shirley Temple sang songs about it, and all these cutesy little childhood songs.
And the other thing to bring up is that recently, because of COVID-19, because everyone's so focused on COVID, there's been like a mini outbreak of measles in certain places across the country.
The Jewish Orthodoxy, and he'll mention that.
Yeah.
Keep playing this clip.
When you get below 90% of the population vaccinated with measles, you start seeing a breakthrough against the herd immunity. People starting to get infected like we saw in the upper New York State and in New York City with the Orthodox Jewish group when we had measles outbreak. So I made a calculation that COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, is not as nearly as transmissible as measles. Measles is the most transmissible infection you can imagine. So I would imagine that you would need something a little bit less than the 90%. That's where I got to the 85. But I think we all have to be honest and humble. Nobody really knows for sure, but I think 70 to 85% for herd immunity for COVID-19 is a reasonable estimate. And in fact, most of my epidemiology colleagues agree with me.
Yeah, of course.
Why would we believe you now
I guess
after you just keep saying it's ridiculous? And he did the same thing with masks. Did the same thing with lockdowns. He does the same thing with herd immunity, moving the goalposts. So bad and so obvious is it now that CNN is bugging him about it. CNN is bugging him. And you know why CNN is bugging him? Because even people who watch CNN are starting to wake up to the chicanery, the nonsense, where this guy comes out and makes claims that he says, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you're a crazy right-wing white supremacist conspiracy theorist. Wear your mask, do your this, do your that. And then when he gets called out on it, he says, oh, no, I'm just a scientist. We got to follow the data. We got to do the blah, blah, blah. It's obvious now. And they would not. I mean, you heard the beginning of this clip. This woman on CNN she's
grilling him.
She's grilling him. Now, of course, I realize that it could, it's obviously a show, but they wouldn't be making that show if CNN's listeners weren't starting to complain about it.
Right.
So people are really starting to wake up across the board to how ridiculous this. I'm not even, look, whatever you think about Fauci, I'm not even saying he's the devil or the Antichrist or the this or the that, whatever. He's just a guy who has a questionable track record and is continuously, repeatedly been found exaggerating, lying, changing the goalposts, all in an attempt to A, control the population, and B, demonize those who don't believe everything he's saying. And people are waking up, and and he knows it, and CNN knows it. And I've talked to a lot of people who consider themselves Democrats and liberals, and they're on the same page. So this guy's losing his footing. He's a mountain goat who's losing his footing.
There's your next piece of art. Charlie.
There you go.
Fauci is a mountain goat losing his footing. Speaking of moving goalposts, there's a couple things to point out here, just some headlines so we can get through this quickly.
Yeah, you zoomed through these, I think.
Newscientist.com. I guess this is from February. I didn't even notice that.
Well, that just shows that it's been happening all along.
Right. Ancient viruses buried in our DNA may reawaken and cause illness. Okay.
Be afraid. Be very
afraid. But, more recent times here. Oh, giant paywall. LA Times. I can't see the article. But the headline is LA County is probing whether a new, more contagious COVID strain is spreading locally. And that new strain thing has also hit Japan and other countries here. English.kyotonews.net. Japan to halt new entry from around the world amid new virus variant. And Japan will suspend new entry into the country of non-resident foreign nationals from around the world from Monday through late January as a precautionary step against the new, potentially more transmissible coronavirus variant. The government said Saturday as it confirmed the first domestically transmitted case. And again, there's just the government saying this. So why should we believe it at all?
Well, you better get your vaccine, Gonz.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, we covered some of the whole variant thing in the last episode, at least in the UK, how Boris ran with, taking things out of context from a presentation and running with it and locking down and all this kind of stuff. But I do a couple things as I kind of want to go on a little rant here to wrap up the show, and we'll get into predictions and then we'll finish it off here. Man,
is this a different rant from the last time?
Yes, this is different.
Okay, new rant, new Gonz rant. Everybody buckle your seatbelts. It's going to get rowdy.
So I talked to somebody on Twitter who emailed me afterwards, and I'm going to email him back here. His name is Joe, and he had a father-in-law pass away from COVID-19. And so, him and his wife had been treated very poorly by the truth community, saying like, "Oh, he didn't die of COVID-19. He's, it's a fake death, not fake death, but people have not been very nice to him and his wife, who obviously losing a family member is devastating." Mm-hmm. And he was, I think he was in his 70s, so he was an older gentleman. So I just want to throw out there that just be careful when you start throwing around some of these theories and sentiments that are out there about the virus, because people have been affected by it. Maybe not directly. Maybe there is even deception in how, the medical professionals were reporting what was happening. And actually his story had to do with, the medical professionals weren't giving him the kind of treatments that we know they have and stuff like that. It would make me very angry if I was in their position. But keeping that in mind, I've been in this debate with this guy on Twitter, the Real Truther, who's been saying all kinds of stuff. He's, defending against anti-science and anti-vaxxers, and he boasts about how he's been debunking anti-vaxxers for a decade and all this kind of stuff. And I've been kind of going back and forth for a couple days, and he made this mention that the 330,000 deaths by COVID-19 is indisputable and uncontroversial fact. Okay, that's what he said. So I said, no, it's not indisputable.
He's been watching CNN too much.
It's not indisputable, and it's not uncontroversial. And my response was, it documented the CDC, the World Health Organization, the NCHS, and the DOH, the Department of Health. Mm-hmm. And I just want to run through this real quick because I think this might help people just have a little ammunition in terms of a conversation if they're talking to skeptics about this. And I brought up Joe because I feel like this type of information is something that if I had a family member die and I couldn't see them in the hospital and they passed away during this past year, this is the kind of information I would bring up to the medical professionals that I had direct contact with and ask questions. You know what I mean? So not to stir things up, but this is what I said. I said, no, it's not indisputable, all that stuff. There was 80,000 deaths reported from the flu in the 2017-2018 season. 2 years later, they reduced that number to 62,000. And the CDC, NCHS, the WHO all admit that counting is inaccurate. And so, number one, the ICD-10 codes, which are used to count the deaths, it's not an exact science. This is exactly what it says on the CDC website. COVID-19 deaths are identified using the new ICD-10 code, which they're going to upgrade to the 11 code in this next year, I think, or 2022, I think. When COVID-19 is reported as a cause of death, or when it is listed as a probable or presumed cause, the death is coded as U07.1. This can be included. This can include cases with or without laboratory confirmation.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, now, we've talked about this before, but I want to highlight it again.
You don't actually need to scientifically prove that COVID was even around.
No, this is what's crazy about this. Okay,
see, that's new. I have not heard that before. That it doesn't even need laboratory confirmation.
Right. So the ICD-10. This is from Wikipedia, 2 common complaints in the U.S. about the ICD-10 CM are 1, the long list of potentially relevant codes for a given condition, which can be confusing and reduce efficiency, and 2, the assigned codes for seldom seen conditions. So, they have a huge list of stuff, and sometimes I think the practitioners or whatever, they don't know exactly what to do with all of them.
What's the EG there? Go back.
Okay.
The EG in that, thing you had up.
Okay.
Struck by cow.
Yeah. Struck by cow. Initial encounter. So there's a code, and then it says struck by cow. Initial encounter, and there's another code. Burn due to water
skis on fire. That's funny.
Initial encounter. So yeah, I mean, again, there's stuff on the list that's like, okay, that's interesting. Number 2, the way death certificates are reported are subject to human error / misclassification. And this is directly from the CDC website. I have a link up. Why are pneumonia and influenza deaths included in this report? Remember, we were talking about some of the charts and how they had influenza and pneumonia, and it was very confusing. It said pneumonia and influenza deaths are included to provide context for understanding the completeness of COVID-19 mortality data and related trends. Deaths due to COVID-19 may be misclassified as pneumonia or influenza deaths in the absence of positive test results. And pneumonia or influenza may appear on death certificates as a comorbid condition. They just straight up say it. The CDC straight up says, hey, it could be mislabeled. So don't bury it in the website so no one sees it.
In the absence of positive test results. That is such a funny little tweak they made.
And then, in non-lab confirmed cases, they are taught to determine how likely it was COVID-19 based on, quote, compelling within a reasonable degree of certainty. Okay, so here's a couple things. So it takes extra time to code COVID-19 deaths, while 80% of deaths are electronically processed and coded by NCHS within minutes. Most deaths from COVID-19 must be coded by a person, which takes an average of 7 days. Why? Why are they making just COVID-19 mandatory for a person to code the death? I don't get that.
That is interesting.
Why, just more human error, potential for human error or manipulation. And then,
Gonz, a quick alert real quick on the YouTube, on your face like the sun YouTube channel. It just moved. The current viewers on that channel is 665.
Okay, good. Dodged it. Of course, I'm talking about this, people.
Oh, now it went to 667.
Good. Yeah, that's right. Holy Spirit.
Skipped it.
Holy Spirit covering me.
All right. Sorry, keep going.
So CDC, again, this is the CDC website. COVID disease deaths are identified using the ICD-10 code U07.1. When deaths are coded to U07.1 when coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 are reported as a cause that contributed to death on the death certificate. These can include laboratory confirmed cases as well as cases without laboratory confirmation. I mentioned that earlier. If the certifier suspects COVID-19 or determines it was likely, parentheses, example, the circumstances were compelling within a reasonable degree of certainty. That's a judgment call on the
compelling
certifier.
Enough that they want the cash for the COVID.
Right. They can report COVID-19 as probable or presumed on the death certificate. Okay, so it's a judgment call. And then the last sentence, COVID-19 is listed as the underlying cause of death. Is listed as the underlying cause on the death certificate of 92% of deaths. So I mentioned that because that's something you'll hear. Like, oh yeah, I know it says that they can maybe make a judgment call on if they're not lab certified, but 92% of the death certificates say that COVID was the underlying cause. Okay, so I got ahead of it and I looked up what some of the provisions were for underlying cause. And according to a document by the Department of Health, this is straight from their document here. It's I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's pretty crazy, but it says determining the underlying cause of death. So a physician records it. The reason why they have it and the reason why it's so complex is because they want to have the ability to record, the multiple causes or multidimensional thing.
Yeah.
Death is not very simple when it comes to how people die or whatever.
Right.
And it says here, a common situation where the initiating causes as reported might not be selected would be where the initiating cause would not cause a subsequent condition. For example, if the certifier recorded that the decedent had chronic hypertension, which led to lung cancer, that led in turn to widespread metastatic cancer, the rules for underlying cause determination would not allow concluding that hypertensive disease caused lung cancer. In an example like this, the condition selected as the underlying cause would be lung cancer. Okay, so basically saying like if you had chronic hypertension
that caused lung
cancer, and then that caused metastatic cancer, and then you died, then the underlying cause of death wasn't chronic, or you shouldn't label it chronic hypertension. You should label it lung cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. But then in this big paragraph at the very end of the document, it says the accuracy of reporting medical conditions on death certificates has been the subject of concern. Some studies have established that for important numbers of cases, the causes of death reported on death certificates do not accurately reflect the decedent's true cause of death. The discrepancies may be due to lack of training on the part of the physician, lack of ready access to the full history of the decedent when certifying the death, difficulty in identifying the correct diagnosis, or a desire to suppress the true cause of death in the interest of patient privacy.
Whoa.
Okay. So they're basically saying that
they're allowed
issues,
to basically lie.
They can lie for the interest of patient privacy. I mean, I couldn't believe this was like actually published in like public documentation from the Department of Health.
Yeah, I mean, boiling it down, taking away some of the subtlety, they're saying, yeah, you're allowed to lie on death certificates.
Yeah, and it goes on here. Just real quick, people typically die from complications of the flu, not the flu itself, using the flu as an example here. If a person with the flu develops severe pneumonia and is taken to the ER, they are treated for the pneumonia and are usually not tested for flu. If they die, the attending or ER physician would probably not know that flu was the underlying cause without a lab confirmation, and therefore would not include it on the death certificate, which leads to
they're not testing for flu because why? Because flu's eradicated. Apparently this year.
Which leads to the undercount for flu as an underlying cause. This is one of the reasons why NCHS mortality reports typically combine pneumonia and influenza. This combined number does not accurately represent the number of deaths due to the flu either. It would be an overestimate. Very important. It would be an overestimate, as not all pneumonia deaths are caused by the flu. So, I mean, it goes into, and then it just mentions how one of the favored, the good things about this is that it gives you a general idea. And, because it tends to fluctuate, it gives you kind of a theme for the year, so to speak. But,
you combine the fact that they're legally allowed to lie on a death certificate with the incentivization that they get paid more because of a COVID case.
Yeah.
That makes it really hard. Look, I mean, I know that's pretty conspiracy theory-y, but in a court of law, if somebody is lined up that much with the crime, doesn't necessarily prove that they did it, but certainly builds a pretty good motive.
I mean, I'm just putting their words out there. I'm not trying to.
That's not conspiracy theory. That's just on their website.
I know. That's why it's just craziness. That I'm just a guy. I'm not a professional medical person, so I'm not. I'm only looking at this through what's available publicly. But even still, I'm able to find these discrepancies and these things mentioned in the professional documentation that would suggest that it's very easy to fake this.
Yeah.
And if there was incentive, not just financial, but societal, then they can definitely do it.
I mean, it boils down to if in some crazy world, the American health industry was concerned at all about money. If they were, in a crazy world in which our sort of screwed up American health system cared about making money, then they certainly would have a perfect lineup to make as much money as they wanted legally by taking advantage of the rules set forth in front of them.
Yeah. And obviously, if you think about Big Pharma, they don't make money unless there's a sick population. You know, you got to keep that in mind. And so they benefit from that.
We know I was being tongue-in-cheek. The American health industry is almost entirely preoccupied with making money.
Yeah, yeah. And so even this vaccine, these companies, Moderna, Pfizer, they were paid billions up front. They made their money, and now they, now they have this jab out there that's going to supposedly end this pandemic, quote unquote. When really, what's really going on? You know, so I just keep a critical mind, folks, and this is the kind of information I would present. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Joe and his wife are going to do anything like that. But if it was me and I was finding out all this stuff, I'd be like, okay, wait a minute. Let me talk to the guy who labeled, my father-in-law's death certificate, the guy who signed it. Let me talk to him, So, I just, it makes me angry, but it's, hopefully it's a righteous kind of anger, and all will be revealed eventually, right?
Luckily we get to rant about it on the internet.
Well, for right now, let's see how long that lasts.
For now. Yeah. All right. There's no conspiracy theories here, man. We just read what they got on their own website. Okay, folks. What do you think? Should we land this plane? We got to get you out of here.
Yeah, just real quick. Let's do predictions for 2021. You got something? I'll write it down so we have a record here.
Yeah, I think there will be a well-known there will be a deep fake that comes from, I'll say, I want to say the president, but I want to say whoever the president is, there will be a very convincing deep fake that causes a lot of trouble and will be it'll be a big problem.
Man, I was kind of gonna
I know.
Go with
the problem is we've both been talking about that for years.
I know. I was actually
that can go in the book for both of us.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna maybe say like Biden's gonna die, and they're gonna just do deep fake of Biden for a while.
Ooh, deep fake president. Yeah, well, that's definitely taking it to the next level.
I know it is.
Yeah, that's kind of doing the Price is Right. $101. Wow. Okay, only Price is Right fans will get that joke.
I get it. I understand what the thing is. All right. You just you up it $1 instead of going the full way, so you can.
Oh, don't tell them.
Oh, all right.
Don't tell them the secret on how to win the Price is Right.
I will go with, and we can do this every year until it happens. I will go with major alien announcement, whether it be some kind of existence.
Disclosure?
Yeah.
Or life. Any life? You doing any life in space?
I don't know. I'm leaning towards some kind of intelligent life, but I feel like they're going to start coming up with a narrative that is more of like an ancient, not ancient aliens per se, but something along those lines of an ancient intelligence, some kind of proof that will really push that narrative out there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I'll put
some sort of life in quote unquote outer space.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure Ciara is mentioning the knife contest, so let's not end the show without giving the details on that. Okay, are we just doing one? I think the first home robot butler, like walking robot, will be commercially available at like a no, you know what? I take that back.
Okay.
Well, I don't take it back. I'm trying to decide if ow, just smacked my own face. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with like all Uber Eats drivers are robotic or not. Now, I'll say the first sort of walking robot butler will be available commercially, and I think the price will be set between $5,000 and $10,000.
Oh, you're putting a price tag on there too.
Yeah, because you can get them now, but they're like $30,000. I think they'll become more available.
All right, I'll go one more. I'll go with it's got to be specific, because if I have these general ones like, oh, they're going to have more cyborg type stuff, but it's got to be like
implantable.
No, I'm going to say wearable. You kind of did this a year or two ago, but I'm going to go with a wearable technology is going to become very popular. Some kind of
you mean like not an Apple Watch or a
no.
Fitbit,
I think it's going to be like a skin type stuff, like an AI skin, like you know how
like
NBA players, kind of like a patch maybe, but you know how NBA players have like that armband thing type
gotta
stuff.
Cover their stuff.
Arm, yeah, kind of like that, but it's going to have some kind of cybernetic stuff in it, AI in it that measures, data. So I'll say fashionable.
Probably. Yeah, just to add to that, not to make it my prediction, but it'll probably have something to do with like detecting COVID in your blood or something.
Yeah, everything's detecting COVID.
Yeah.
My car says COVID.
And then an obvious one, I think that this is not even that cool of a prediction, but I definitely there will be some sort of vaccine passport, widely mandatory.
Yeah, I mean these are.
That's not.
We need more wild ones.
No, I think like the deep fake president. I think
deep fake president.
We've been talking about that, but I think 2021's the year.
Yeah, I really feel like that's. If it hasn't happened already, it's going to be a much more controversial deep fake president.
And I'm
video.
not talking like somebody puts it out there to prove it's possible. I mean, I think whoever the president is, there's going to be a video that comes out and it'll be posted on like a official or semi-official outlet, and people are going to think it's real, and it's going to cause some huge problem.
What was that Biden video where he says he's what did he say?
There was a weird Biden sort of deep fakey video.
Not deep fake, but just recently, I think you're the one that sent it to me. It was some like video of Biden saying something from back in the day and comparing himself to a black man or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I meant to actually put that in the show today, but yeah, it was back when Biden just got into Congress. He was 29 years old. This dude has been a career politician forever. Wow. And yeah, he just basically admits to having sold out to become Congress. And he said he was like the token black man or the token woman because he's 29 and in Congress. I'm the token black man in Congress. Like, no, Biden, what a crazy thing to say, dude. He's just been putting his foot in his mouth for 50 years. I can't believe he's made it this far.
Well, with the help of some very favorable people, anything is possible.
Yeah, it's his turn.
I guess.
That's how that party works, man. You wait your turn.
Any celebrity death predictions?
No.
Always celebrity deaths.
I don't know. Nah. I don't even know. I've lost track of celebrities.
I know there's been a lot of. Well, yeah. What is a celebrity now?
Yeah,
it's a very different thing than
Hollywood's
it was when we were
dead,
growing up.
Man.
Yeah, Hollywood is dead.
All right.
Okay, I think we're good.
We gotta get you out of here, man.
I gotta get out. Yeah,
I think those are legit. Okay, real quick, an update for the Canary Cry knife giveaway. Custom knife created by producer Nigel. We said that this was our sort of planning issue. We said that you had through today's show to do your post. What it is a social media blitz. There's been some confusion, so we're going to give you one more chance, and you have till the end of the day today to get your entries in. Producer Nigel builds custom knives, and he has been so generous and offered one to a very lucky Canary Cry listener. And the way to win, I'm going to say this, and you got to follow the directions. You can't try to not do it the right way, or else you won't make it into the drawing. You make a social media post on a social media platform, and you must link a piece of Canary Cry Radio or Canary Cry News Talk audio content. Link out. It could be a video on the YouTube. It could be a podcast. It could be a this, could be a that. You know, somebody sent my Twitter profile picture. They texted it to a friend and tried to make that be an entry. That doesn't count. It has to be a content that somebody could click on and discover the show. You post that on your social media, or, you know, a group of friends or something like that, and you must hashtag. This is another point of confusion. You must go hashtag Canary Cry News Talk. That's important because we got to be able to find your post. So do it on a social media, if it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, or whatever else is out there. Post a link or a piece of Canary Cry News Talk or Canary Cry Radio content that somebody can discover the show with, and hashtag Canary Cry News Talk. And we will, and for every post that you do that on, you will receive an entry into the drawing for the Canary Cry knife drawing. Custom knife created by Nigel. Producer Nigel, sorry. And we will be announcing that on social media. You have until, what is it? It's 5 o'clock on the 27th Pacific Standard Time. Let's make it midnight.
What?
You have
6
until
o'clock.
Okay. You have until midnight on the 27th, and we will announce it because we need to get you in contact with producer Nigel so he can make it custom, get some custom deets for you. And if you really want to make sure that your entry gets counted, take a screenshot and send it over to canarycryradio@gmail.com. There you go. You've got 6 more hours, folks. Get in on in there. Okay. Anything else, Gonz?
I think that's it. Thank you for this year. 2020 has been quite the year.
Yes, great. We've done it. And remember to tune back in. When did we decide the first show of 2021 will be?
Let's see.
We got to take the rest. So your wife's getting an operation. We got to take a week off.
Yeah. It'll be
the 4th?
I think the 4th. I think we'll be back on the 4th. Yep.
Okay. Monday, January 4th of 2020. Make sure to tune in then. We will be back.
2021, man. Come on.
What did I say? Oh, my gosh. I got to go to the bathroom so bad.
I'm surprised you lasted this long, actually.
I've got a bladder of steel.
That is quite impressive.
Steel has its breaking point, man.
That is impressive.
January 4th, 2021. First show of the year. Be here. Be square. Both and or neither. But there you go. Now, if you want to support the show, you can support the very first show of 2021, and we're going to need it, folks. 2021 is promising to be a crazy year. And if you've appreciated our show in 2020 and you want to keep it going through next year, that's up to you, folks. It's the producers that keep this show going. You can become a producer by heading to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, or you can head to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. CanaryCryRadio.com/support. Become a producer. There, you can also help out the show by sharing the show. Post it on your social media. You got friends, you got family. They're starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. Share the show with them. They're going to need it in 2021. And that goes a long way to helping the show. You can also leave ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. That goes a very long way to helping us out. We'll be reading ratings and reviews in the next week of shows, January 8th or something. So please do that. Also, yeah, that's about it. So there you go. If you need any more instructions, you just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, folks. Just ask Noah. Thank you one more time for making 2020 such a wonderful year. That sounds crazy to say,
yeah,
but it was really a wonderful year for the show. We changed it, we updated it, we up-leveled it. It's leveled up, and I'm enjoying it very much. And Gonz, I know you are too, and I know many of the listeners are as well. So let's keep it going through 2021. Certainly, we'll need it. Any last words, Gonzo?
God bless.
Yeah, there you go, everybody. One last time, remember to be back here January 4th, 2021. That's a Monday. And there you go. You'll be tuning in to Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, think outside the cage. Should I be a little bit more energetic for the last one of the year?
Sure, do it.
Think outside the cage. Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. Stop this progress before it is too late.
This is the way.
Better, bigger, tastier.
Shoot, hallelujah.
That was nice.
We will launch a new age.
Called it.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Make way for Basil and Gonz as they expose Babylon. There's a line
Another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
It's a bidet. Don't get me started.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. People's zoo.